Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
I'm talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy Austin Ward. My good buddy Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lavery's joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Tiberi here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah,
and then
it's a rundown.
And then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only two guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, let's do it live on a Thursday edition of the program. Bo, the boys with you for the next three. Paul Finebaum going to jump by at 10:30. I kind of envision that like Appomattox, where he's General Robert E. Lee, and I'm Ulysses S. Grant, and he has to surrender the South. It's time to put your saber in, Paul. So I look forward to that conversation coming up at 10:30. 11:30, we'll do a little bit of Shelley time. 10 o'clock, your emails, a full mailbag today as well. Some really good ones, and an email that made me think differently about what Ryan Day accomplished that I'm looking forward to reading and getting your guys' thoughts on that as well. Really interesting stuff. At 11 o'clock, we'll beat the house on the NFL side of things. We'll do the games. We'll do some over-unders on that as well, the AFC and NFC championship games. I did want to start here. We'll get to Adam Fantilli, who is unbelievable in just a second. I think I had a victory this morning, but I'm not entirely sure. So last night, we had, despite school being closed the last 2 days, we were able to have little guy basketball practice. So Bootsy's team practiced 6 to 7:30. So around 5 o'clock, he started to, kind of have some sick tendencies, like throat, a little bit tired, just weary. And his mom was like, "Does he really need to go to practice?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's league tournament weekend this weekend. So if he's healthy enough, he needs to go." And he's like, "I just don't think I can go, Dad. I don't think I can go." And I said, "Well, Boots, if you don't go, you can't start this weekend." So guess what happened then? He went upstairs and got his gear. He got better. Yeah, he went upstairs and got his gear, and then he practiced. So the groundwork was starting to be laid. Last night, he did really a rare thing for any child, which is volunteer to go to bed early. So he was like, "I'm tired, Dad. I think I'm going to go to bed." So he goes in and goes to bed early. This morning, he's coughing as like he's Doc Holliday in Tombstone. I mean, that's what he's putting on. This is the performance that we're getting. Now, I'm convinced that he's trying to Ferris Bueller us this morning. Convinced of it. My wife is much more sympathetic to his ploys. And there was a great conversation about should he go or should he stay. My feeling was, based on the evidence, knowing his nature, noticing the fact that he was all of a sudden, as soon as I said you can't start if you don't practice, he was ready to go. And then I just thought the coughing was a little over the top. There was no fever, there was none of that. It felt like a lot of forced coughing. So I said, "Buddy, you're going." Now, did I win because I snuffed out the Ferris Bueller, or should game respect game, and should I have allowed for the tomfoolery?
No, you won.
That's kind of what I think.
You
That's
won, take the win.
Race.
Don't ever concede.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Like you just said you were Ulysses S. Grant in a college football conversation.
Yeah.
You give no ground. There is no quarter.
Yeah,
you concede nothing.
I respect the game.
That's fine. And you can respect your opponent.
Yeah.
But William Tecumseh Sherman didn't go through Georgia saying, "Well, I have great respect for this area."
Nah, burn it to the ground. The hell with it. Yeah, I respected his game. I snuffed it out. And now I would put it at a 61% chance that he finds a way to come home sick at some point today. And at that point, it's out of my hands.
It's not on you.
I could see him putting on the show today, and all of a sudden we get a call from the nurse. He really can't stop coughing. Does he have a fever? No. Okay. Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it. Something to monitor. I think there's a decent chance he's home by noon is my guess. Something to monitor last night. Can you imagine? You tried to think of the football parallel of it. It's hard to find one. But what Adam Fantilli did last night in Toronto, you got to, for perspective, you have to go back to the tanking for Connor Bedard that happened at the end of that season. And Bedard was the shiny toy. He was the present. He was generational from a talent standpoint. And we were quick to point out, though, that it was for much of that season, it was a two-player draft. It was Bedard, and then it was Fantilli. And we had many conversations with folks in the hockey world who said, look, yeah, Bedard is on a different level, but if Bedard wasn't in this draft, Fantilli would be the apple of everybody's eye. He would be the one that you would want, is him. He would go number one overall. So, of course, we know how that history all played out and the way that season played out. What was the win, Reese? There was a win. Was it against Pittsburgh? Like in the Bake, do you remember? There was a win that dropped them out.
Yeah, it was. They beat Pittsburgh. They beat the Penguins, who sat Sidney Crosby, I think.
I believe that's exactly right.
And they went from like the number one best chance to the second best chance or the third best.
I don't know if they ever had like the best odds officially by themselves. I think they were in the running for best odds, and then it dropped them to third.
It felt like that win over Pittsburgh. It was like, what are we doing?
And I wanted to throw produce at Jarmo Kekalainen.
I know it did. Yeah, like, what are you doing, man? So it comes to the draft lottery, and the Jackets, in what we thought was a two-player draft, picked third. They picked third. And you thought, well, okay, now you're not going to get Bedard. You're not going to get Fantilli. Now what do we do? Well, as it turns out, when it comes to draft night, Adam Fantilli was passed over with the number 2 pick, and he fell into the Blue Jackets' lap. And you have to be reminded sometimes how young these kids are. You expect them to come in and be gangbusters right away. But if you've listened to the conversations we've had with Jody, if you listen to the conversations we've had with Porty over the course of this year, the one constant has been, while the numbers aren't there for him, all of the rest of the stuff is, and it will come, and there is a dam that is about to break with him. And I got news for you, kids. The dam broke a couple of weeks ago, and it's all the way down now. A hat trick in Toronto, in your hometown, in front of what felt like 100 of his family and friends. That's a seminal moment for a young player. And my hunch is it will be a springboard for him for the rest of this year to, once you do it in a spot like that, it becomes repeatable. And I just can't even imagine doing that in the center of the hockey world like he did last night. I mean, what that meant to him, what he meant to the family. He is going to be one of our favorite phrases. My hunch is he's going to be 10 feet tall and bulletproof for a couple of weeks now.
It's funny, Bo. Dean Evison last night even echoed what you just said. Like, he's been doing this exact same thing all year. He's been playing defensively, and he says if he doesn't play on the defensive side of the puck last night, he doesn't get those chances. And on the defensive side of the puck last night, he was going up against one of the best, maybe the best goal scorer in all of the NHL, in Austin Matthews. And Matthews got one late, but Matthews also left that game last night with a -3. Yeah. And that's a big part of Adam Fantilli's play.
Yeah, he's got 6 points in the 6 games since Monahan went out, since he went up to the top line. Since the calendar year turned, he's a point-a-game player. So
that kind of a game by that kind of a player in that kind of an arena that Fantilli grew up, a couple miles from, had my knee-jerk reaction thinking, bleep it, why can't they go for a playoff spot? Not just a wild card. They beat the Maple Leafs in Toronto.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, they can. I mean, right now they're in the number 1 wild card spot. And I think they'll be very smart around all of this. There's a beautiful core of players here, of young, precocious players who are really, it's everything Blue Jacket fans have ever wanted. They wanted it down, drafted, developed, right, and a wave of young players all coming, and that's what you got, Vic.
And Bo, you talk about, or not, people talk about the trade deadline. And are people going to add? Are people going to sell? And who knows what Don Waddell's thinking is coming up here at the trade deadline. But they've got 3 pieces, maybe 4 coming back that are going to be trade deadline acquisitions. Boone Jenner, who hasn't played a game all year.
Yeah.
Possibly Eric Goodbranson, who's played 3 games all year. Yegor Chinnikov, who seems like an afterthought right now, hasn't played in like 30 games. He's a top 6 forward. And then you got Sean Monahan, your number 1 center, coming back.
Yeah.
These are great problems to have coming up here soon with these guys coming back and who's going to come out of this lineup, because there's a lot of guys playing really well right now.
Yeah, there is. Let's hear from Fantilli on the hat trick. Here's what he had to say.
I'm just trying to keep chipping away at becoming a better player every day, and I'm really grateful to the players that I've been able to watch up until this point and how much they've been able to help me to become the centerman that I want to be. Obviously, I'm not there yet, and I'm going to keep working towards that, but I'm really grateful to people that have helped me this season and last.
He's a stud. He's an absolute stud. Maple Leafs should never wear black, ever. I mean, you're blue and white.
Yeah, that was weird.
Looked awful. Awful. Stop it. Jackets at Carolina tonight. We'll have a little Shelley time coming up at 11:30. To the football side of things, still basking in the glow of a national championship, but the audience wasn't as big as certainly I thought it would be. Potential reasons why, and ESPN ranked the top 100 players of this past season. Where do the Buckeyes rank on that list? We'll get to that coming up next. We're off and running on a Thursday. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Big voice guy here to remind you that you're listening to The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Okay, thanks. I have 3 more seconds. Bye-bye.
Through the magic of modern technology, I'm coming to you from inside your garbage disposal.
Hey, what are you doing down here?
I was telling folks about Who are you?
Garbage disposal monster. I eat the things people put in here. Nom 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 nom.
Oh?
Sometimes I get sick.
I was just about to say, the pros who knows from Apex are brilliant at fixing garbage disposals. You're really a monster?
Ah, look here. These teeth?
Yeah?
They're all busted.
Oh.
They're for food, not forks. You hear up there?
Gee, what else?
Crazy noises like clingety, 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 clingety. Call Apex Pros.
Sure.
Sometimes I smell funny.
I didn't want to draw attention to it.
Call Apex Pros.
And what's going on now there?
Smoking. It's a bad habit. We're not supposed to smoke.
Well, you heard it straight from the garbage disposal monster.
Rawr.
Call the pros who knows. Apex Pros.
Hi, it's Alex, the Apex Bear. We are the pros who knows, the official plumber of the Columbus Blue Jackets. ApexPros.com.
Nom 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 nom.
Hey friends, Beamer here, and all right, Columbus, we know it. We're celebrating a championship. They did it. And the journey to get there, it wasn't luck. It was a season of executing game plans, weekly coaching, adapting strategies, and celebrating the wins along the way. Does that sound familiar to anybody? That's exactly what it feels like with Awaken 180 weight loss. When I started, I had a goal. It was pretty simple. Drop the weight and feel better. I really didn't think too much about the process going in, but it really is all about the process. I have weekly coaching, a plan that works for me, and the motivation to keep on going. Awaken 180 has the perfect formula for losing weight fast, making it easy and giving you a big old W at the very end. All the other guys here did it. I'm getting closer to my goal every week, 35 pounds down so far, and it basically fell off. I feel fantastic. When I get up in the morning, I feel great. I feel rejuvenated. I feel energized for the first time in a while. You can reach your goal. Do what we all did. Choose the solution for weight loss online at awaken180weightloss.com.
There's a place where mishaps don't mean missing out. Welcome to AAA's The Plus Side, where a AAA Plus membership means that an empty gas tank won't keep you from a full day, where a flat tire doesn't have to deflate your mood, where being locked out doesn't mean you'll be out of luck for long, and where a dead battery can't stop you from being the life of the party.
Looks like you're all set here. Have a good rest of the day.
Because on the plus side, roadside mishaps don't have to ruin your day. With AAA Plus, you're covered with the gold standard in roadside assistance, whenever and wherever you need it. Tire changes, battery swaps, and emergency fuel are just a tap, click, or call away. AAA gets to you faster, and if you need a tow, we'll take you further, anywhere within 100 miles. Become a AAA Plus member today and experience the peace of mind that comes when you live on the plus side. Towing is subject to a 7-day waiting period. Terms and conditions apply. Service is only available from AAA and CAA in North America.
If you miss a little, you'll miss a lot. Search for your favorite fan shows wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe. Every episode comes right to your phone absolutely free. Modern technology, it's a hell of a thing. Do it now. The Fan.
It's a different world today than it was 30 years ago when I started Care Heating and Cooling. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, 30 years ago, you were the first to warn of companies using service technicians as salespeople, of abusing the trust that a service technician has. With the big conglomerates now buying companies all over Central Ohio, this has become the normal business model.
It's all about greed. The conglomerates know they can make a lot more money by incentivizing their technicians to sell furnaces instead of fixing them. They train their techs to take advantage of a customer when they are the most vulnerable.
Dad, that is not how we were taught. In 2024, Care Heating and Cooling was awarded a BBB Torch Award for Ethics and was named the Lennox Partner of the Year. You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
A chilly start to the morning. Temperatures are in the teens, wind chills in the single digits. Other than that, the big weather story today is that we will be tracking some snow this afternoon. Between about 4 and 6 o'clock, we'll be looking at a few scattered snow showers. Little to no accumulation is expected. Today's high, 29. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
If you're starting your day any other way, you're doing it wrong. Morning Juice with Bobby and Beamer.
Weekdays starting at 6.
The Fan. When General Sherman marched through Georgia, he was listening to this show.
Use your skills for good, young warrior.
This is Bishop and Friends.
I'd be honest with you. I thought it'd be more. I thought it would be more. I thought Ohio State Notre Dame would give a bigger audience and deliver a bigger ratings win than it did. It's fine. It's more than fine. It's just being judged up against what it has been previously, and when you do that, the numbers are just down a little bit. It ends up being 22.1 is the audience on ESPN that they announced. Most watched non-NFL sporting event over the past year. Big win on that, so you'll take that. But a 12% drop from the 25 million who turned in for Michigan and Washington in 2024. It was the third lowest audience for the 11 CFP title games, all three occurring in the past 5 years. The lowest, I want to say, was TCU against Georgia. The audience peaked at 26.1 in the really about an hour into the game when the score was tied early and then perhaps receded when the Buckeyes started to run away and then maybe never came back. I was looking at, just for historical perspective of how these things have rated through the years. If you go back, obviously we have the numbers from last year. If you go back to 2022, the Georgia TCU, that's 17 million. So a low number there, obviously. National championship in 21 was Georgia-Alabama. That's 22.5. Alabama, Ohio State in 2020 was just 18.6. Remember, we thought everyone in COVID would be into it and that the numbers weren't there right away on that side of things. It starts to go up then. LSU Clemson was 25. Clemson and Alabama was 25. 2017, that is Alabama and Georgia, that's 28. Clemson and Alabama again, 25. 2015, Alabama and Clemson, that's 26. And then the monster and kind of the stick that you all measure against was Ohio State, Oregon, the first year of the 4-team playoff, and it was 34 million folks, so 12 million loss in 10 years. There's a lot of things that can lead to this, obviously. We have a lot more options in terms of what we can consume than we did a decade ago. That's certainly part of it. I think another part of it is the calendar, quite honestly. I talked to a lot of folks. I'm curious if you guys had this similar conversation, but talked to a lot of folks in the last couple of days who did not have a rooting interest in this. We're not Buckeye fans. We're not Irish fans. NFL people, folks who prefer the NFL more. And the one constant thing that I got was, that was okay. It was okay. And the other thing I got was, I was kind of fatigued. I was kind of fatigued by the time I got to Monday. And this is something that we said last week in discussing, kind of the placement of all of this, that if you were going to own one, in fact, I even laid out a plan for this, that if you're going to try to own a day, be the appetizer for the NFL. Don't try to be the dessert. You think about when you sit down at a nice white tablecloth, most of the time, you're going to get an appetizer of some sort, whether that's an appetizer or a salad or a soup. You're going to do something before you order that steak. That's happening. But you don't always order the dessert. And I think what college football is on the Monday after the divisional round is dessert. And if you're not somebody who loves tiramisu, You may just say, yeah, I'm good. I'm done. I've seen enough football. I watched a lot of football. I watched 4 NFL games this weekend. 16 hours of football. By the time you get to Monday, if you don't have a rooting interest in one of the fan bases, or you're not from one of the states that are playing, or if you're not Irish Catholic, where's your rooting interest? And the reality is there isn't really much of one. It's a very good number. I don't mean to diminish it. It's a very good number. Football is king. The NFL is king, and college football is prince, and everybody else is a serf, quite honestly. But at the same time, there is a missed opportunity here, and it speaks, I think, to how they ramrodded this thing in without a whole lot of thought to how it was going to play out. I mean, my God, we played games on Thursdays and Fridays. We played you get 2 weeks off for this one, and then you're going to play the next week for this one. All of this to make the Bulls happy. I think when they talk about what to do and change in this, because this is going to come from the television partner who's paying a great deal of money for it, they're going to say, we got to get back to a better spot. And to me, guys, I don't think you should be playing this late into the season anyway. You could find a way to move all of this up. That's a part of a bigger conversation. But at the bare minimum, you've got to be the appetizer, not the dessert.
Yeah, and I do think the date is probably the worst part because you are on a national holiday. You are after an inauguration. So a lot of people's interest during the day was on President Trump's inauguration. And so by that time in the evening, I think people are flipping to other streaming services that just offer popcorn. You know, something that doesn't take a whole lot of brain power to watch. I think you had other sports during the day that didn't help. And you also had ESPN disinterested until that day. There was nothing on any of their major channels that let you believe if you didn't already know there was a national championship game, you'd probably have no idea. And to your point about the two fan bases, those likely the ones that were interested, everybody else, if you're tuning in, then you watch Ohio State go up by 21, and then you're probably out, or because people don't have cable anymore, if you're streaming something, that's something else you're going to choose rather than what you don't know is on ESPN because the past 10 times you've clicked on ESPN, it's been something you're disinterested anyway.
I wondered the same thing, Reese, about the inauguration and if people were all into, if there were casual fans that might have tuned in, if they were more tuned in to the political talk from that day and that night. And then I think the other thing, you have it on a Monday night. Most people have to go to work on Tuesday. They see 31-7. Well, this is over. I'm going to bed. Or they check in, maybe this is a good game, and they were like, 31-7, this really isn't that great. There's no need to turn this on. And so it was a couple of different factors there.
It was. I think that's part of it. I think that the lopsided nature of the score was certainly part of it. I think it speaks a little bit with the peak audience at 26 million in the second quarter. The score was tied at that point, and then it starts to recede quickly for the Irish. I think all of those things factor. I think a simple fix is to get this at very minimum, and I think they're going to do a lot of change. We'll get to those coming up, but I think a very simple fix is you don't want to follow the NFL. You don't. You're not ready for that, to follow the NFL. And so there's a fatigue that comes with it. It's like I say all the time, that the start of the Sunday night football game is waiting all day for Sunday night. No, I'm not. I'm exhausted by Sunday night, unless it's a team that I care about. Because we watch the Browns and the Bengals and we keep an eye on the North and all of those things, I'm watching 8 hours of football by the time I get to Sunday night. So by the time I get to Sunday night, it's background noise. I'm not watching it with the same intent. And I think this happened with the college football playoff. It's just too damn much football by the time. For the casual fan, it's too much. And I think the ratings have kind of proved that out. So I think it's something they have to address. ESPN ranked the top 100 players this past season. A litany of Buckeyes on this one, a total of 10. Travion came in at 83, Seth McLaughlin 82, Emeka Egbuka 78, 60 was Lathan Ransom, Will Howard was 57, 35 was JT Tuimoloau, 32 was Donovan Jackson, 22 Jack Sawyer, 18 Caleb Downs, 5 Jeremiah Smith. It was a little surprised no Q on that list. I thought Caleb was too low on the list at 18 as well. I thought he was like a top 10 player in college football this year. But the Buckeyes obviously very, very well represented. Any surprises here, fellas?
The first one that sticks out to me is Emeka Egbuka. You can't tell me that there's 77 players in college football better than that guy. I know he got overshadowed by Jeremiah Smith this year, but man, Emeka Egbuka is a heck of a talented football player, and there's no way he's 78 to me. But the one thing I noticed first, Bo, those two that are listed the highest for the Buckeyes, they're both back next year.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, Quinshawn being on here caught my eye as well. I also thought it is very well-deserved Donovan Jackson, at least in the top 50. I know they're doing this the totality of the season, so you don't just use the last 4 games. Yeah. If not, all those guys would be higher. Again, Quinshawn, the biggest question mark for me there. But, yeah, Will Howard could probably be up in the top 25 because he's the quarterback the quarterback for the national championship team, I think I would feel more important or more impactful than 57.
I think you're right on that, too, on Howard. I thought he should have been in the top 50 for sure. Just compare his season to Dylan Gabriel's. It compares very favorably. Gabriel, I want to say, was like 9 or 10, something like that on the list. So that's kind of the thing that you're looking for on that. But well represented. Jeremiah at 5 is pretty high for a true freshman, so that was very cool to figure out. We talked the college football playoff in terms of some of the changes. There will likely be a lot of changes, and the folks making those changes will be the 2 power conferences, the Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference. What are they going to change first? That's in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Giant Eagle is making it easy to surround yourself with the sound of freshness. With new low prices on hundreds of your favorite produce items, so you save on all the crunch, all the flavor, all the just pick goodness you love. Surround yourself with savings every time you shop with new low prices on apples, carrots, lettuce, celery, and more. Enjoy fresh savings on fresh produce at your neighborhood Giant Eagle.
You want to know what the VIP stands for in the Ohio Lottery's new VIP Millions game? Very impressive payouts, because this $50 scratch-off has $51 million winners. Plus, with 5 bonus boxes and a chance to multiply your winnings by up to an astonishing 500 times, this game truly lives up to its VIP status. VIP Millions, your best chance ever to win $1 million in Ohio Lottery history. Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
What's up? What's up, man? What's up with you?
All right, here's what's up on a Thursday edition of the program. The Big Ten and SEC bosses, Tony Petitti, Greg Sankey, going to meet in New Orleans. By the way, frozen over. Did you see the video of the folks ice skating in the streets of New Orleans?
Are they doing that meeting this week?
No, I think it's in February. They're going to do it.
About to say, they're not getting anywhere.
It was crazy to see. Canceling NBA games last night because of it.
I had a guy I got to be friends with when he was the punter for the Browns, Britton Colquitt. He lives down in the Seaside area, 30A area, Rosemary Beach, that area. And he put up something on Instagram last night of his kids building a giant snowball, like right near the beach. I mean, they just have never had it. They've never had snow like that. I saw snow in Gainesville. Like, I mean, how do alligators handle that? What are they? I mean, if it gets too cold, don't they? They're cold-blooded. They freeze. I suppose that happens, right? Like lizards and stuff.
I have seen pictures of like iguanas in the cold in Florida. Like they do. They like freeze and they just fall out of the trees that they're in. They just drop to the ground.
Do they survive?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Is it kind of like Black Panther, where because he's in the ice, he's okay?
Alligators enter a state of brumation during winter, become dormant to conserve energy as temperatures drop below 70 degrees Fahrenheit. In preparation for dormancy, alligators dig out dens along water banks to shield themselves from the cold and can survive brief periods of freezing weather.
I mean, below 70, this is a lot, but this is 30.
Very below.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, yeah. No, they're not, they can't, and don't throw stones at them either. Like, this isn't in the brochure for them. They don't have salt trucks. They don't have snow trucks. They can't move any of it. Like, and it's smart economically. Like, you can't invest in something you're going to use once a millennium. Like, doesn't make any sense. So they just need to wait a couple of days and it'll get back to 60s and then it'll all melt. I do find it just absolutely comical that the SEC, that Petitti and Sankey, which you could very easily have this meeting like over Zoom now, but instead they're going to fly private to New Orleans, have a great meal at Commander's Palace, and go into a nice, they'll go into some sort of a 5-star establishment for some Marriott points or some Hilton points and have a nice day in New Orleans. That's exactly how this thing goes. This is the bureaucracy of major college athletics. They are going to decide what this thing looks like. You can come all you want with me about the CFP, the executive director of the CFP. No. Sankey and Petitti are going to say what this is going to look like. And I think Sankey's going to have some beef. I don't think it's justified beef, but I think he's going to have beef. And I think when you try to project the first change that will be made, and I think it's the right change, and it's the most immediate thing they have to do, is you cannot give a team that is ranked 11th or 12th that won a subservient conference a bye. That's got to be the first fix. You set up a playoff this year where your number one overall seed had to play the most talented team in the country in its first playoff game. You set up a playoff this year where the champion of your two toughest conferences got big boy games first time out. And I think the first thing you got to do is the top 4 seeds are the top 4 teams. This is all subjective anyway. It's all subjective. There's nothing finite about any of it. It's who do we think are the 4 best? So to randomly, arbitrarily just be like, oh yeah, all these conferences are created equal. They should all be treated the same. Well, no, they should not be treated the same. They're not all equal. And so just give the top 4 teams in the country those 4 byes. That, I think, is the minimum requirement.
I do love this article on Sports Illustrated that says one prospective idea appears to be an interest in expanding the college football playoff to a projected 14 teams, according to the reporting. And I guess the bracket would potentially feature auto bids for the SEC, Big 10, Big 12 ACC 2 bids, 1 for a group of 5 school, and 1 at-large selection.
I think all of those things should happen. Not 14. 14's stupid. Eventually just get to 16, and that's what you need to be.
Just jump to 16 now. Like, I don't know if you need to do the 14.
Well, they'll save the 16 until the new television deal. So that's 26. That's when the 26 will be the first year of 16. I still think, I do think it's I'm not like, big bad bully. I do think that it's really cool that Boise State's in it, and I think they should still be in it. I think the highest ranked group of 5 teams should be in it. I just don't think they should be the 3 seed. I don't think the winner of the Big 12 should be the 4 seed.
Should not get a bye.
No, these things are not the same. So all you got to do, they're in. They're just the 12. That solves it. That, to me, is the first thing they got to sort out.
Bo, I know most people don't like this because they don't like the how it was back in the day with the BCS, but I am still totally in favor of a BCS-type formula for ranking these top teams. And then whatever your criteria is, conference champions and at-large, all of that thing, yada, yada, you can fill that out. But I am in full favor of the computers, whatever system you want in the computers. You throw the numbers in there, and it spits out who your teams are in order.
Buddy, don't get me started. The BCS actually did its job.
I agree.
Well. It took human element, it took computer element, it took strength of schedule, and it spit out the 2 most deserving teams in an algorithm that got it right most of the time. You go look at the BCS championship game before we went to a 14 playoff. How many did they get wrong? whoever had real beef. There were a couple of instances where you had multiple undefeated teams. There was the year that LSU, I want to say it was LSU, Oklahoma, and USC were all undefeated, and LSU played Oklahoma in the national championship game, and then USC, I think, played Michigan in the Rose Bowl, and they split the national championship. But by and large, it got it right. There were very few instances where there were more than 2 undefeateds that got in there, and I think it did get it right. And I don't want to go back to that BCS game. I like the playoff. I think the playoff works. I think the calendar's got to get fixed. I think they got to get this thing over sooner, and then I think you got to get to a situation where you're giving the buys to the 4 best teams, not 2 of the teams being from subservient conferences.
Could you do a hybrid, though? And they won't do this, obviously. So I'm going to say this understanding that they love having the people to be mad at. They love having the television show where Ward Manuel comes out and says a bunch of stuff but doesn't actually say anything, where you have the computers. They rank and seed these teams. Then you do the playoff based off of whatever calculations or algorithms that they would like to use, or some of the old, like bring back the Sagarin ratings or something like that, and then they would rank and seed, or I guess just rank, and you seed based off of the ranking and go from there.
I take the BCS formula, get rid of these guys that are meeting. By the way,
they can't.
I'm convinced that the reason they kept some of these rankings the way that they were in the final CFP is when Ward Manuel said that in the advance of the conference championship games, that we will not punish teams who lose in the conference championship game.
Yeah, it's
I don't think he should have said that.
The official in the booth who Tony and Jim throw to, and then he's like, well, I don't want to make my guy look bad down on the field.
No. So I think that him saying that out loud caused what happened in the final rankings. So if they would have, let's say this was in play this year, this is the way the playoff would have worked this year if you give the top 4 seeds buys. Now, I also think one note here, neither Texas nor Penn State were punished with conference championship losses. And as I just said, I think that's because of what Ward Manuel said. Like Notre Dame did not play and they dropped a spot in the final college football rankings. They dropped because Georgia moved up 3. So the other 3 had to all move down. So Notre Dame should have probably been 3 in this thing if you would have done it normally. But the top 4 would have been Oregon, Georgia, Texas, and Penn State. They would have received the 4 buys. The 5 would have been Notre Dame. They would have played 12 seed Arizona State. The 6 would have been Ohio State. They would have played 11 Alabama. The 7 would have been Tennessee. They would have played number 10 SMU. And the 8 would have been Indiana. They would have played the 9 Boise State. So if you would have had it 1 through 12 this year, that's what it would have looked like.
That would have been better.
Hey, Bo, we were talking about the BCS.
Yeah.
This is what it would have looked like this year with the old BCS rankings, according to Athlon Sports. Oregon would have been the number 1. Right. Ohio State would have been the number 2. Texas 3, Penn State 4, Indiana 5, Notre Dame 6, Georgia 7, Alabama 8, Ole Miss 9, Miami 10, Tennessee 11, SMU 12.
So that would have had Arizona State out, Boise State out. It would have allowed all of those SEC teams to flourish. So would have given Ole Miss and Alabama a bite at the apple.
Boise State came in at 14th, so they would have been your at-large team. And then I don't see where is Arizona. I don't see Arizona State on here anyway. Obviously, they had BYU at 13, but Arizona State still would have got in because of the conference championship.
Yeah. And that goes to that idea that the ACC commissioner had over the weekend of, hey, maybe we don't have our champion play, the 1 seed play in the conference champion. We have the 2-3 be the play-in. It's a pretty smart move out of him. What he's trying to do is guarantee himself 2 spots. That's what he's going for. He's going to bet that the number 1 seed will get in out of his league. It's a decent-sized bet, but that the winner then of the 2 or 3 would get the better metric and he'd get 2 in. So that's his plan on all of this. Changes are a-coming, though. They are a-coming. My hunch is that first thing that they will do is eliminate those automatic buys for the non-Power 5s. I think the other thing that they will do is they will look at getting this calendar right and getting these games played on Fridays, I think, more than Mondays. I think Monday's tough. I don't think you want to follow the NFL at all. It's also very difficult to drive a golf cart. Details next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Death, taxes, and beating Michigan every damn year. This is your flagship home for Ohio State football. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Men, it's the new year, and for many of us, it's a time of deciding to make positive changes in our lives. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, and if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction and are tired of the frustration and embarrassment ED causes, you should call Tri-State Men's Health today. Because there probably isn't a better resolution you can make than to be done with ED. You see, ED doesn't just affect you, it can also affect your partner, even if they don't talk about it. But here's some great news. If you're like most guys, the treatments at Tri-State Men's Health will give you back your sex life. Because our protocols have success rates that work in well over 90% of cases. Seriously, you might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So, make an appointment and get ED out of your life. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654. That's 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. Tri-State Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Aaron, look what I invented.
Jerry, you're wearing a cape.
Get Eco.
ECO.
What is it that you promise our customers, Aaron?
We come through for you when you need us to.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Do you know who does that, Aaron?
We do?
Superheroes do that, Aaron. Superheroes!
I'm guessing you make capes for everyone?
That's right. Every plumber, electrician, and HVAC technician. But I'm not done, Aaron. I'm not done.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Now I'm inventing jetpacks so we can fly to the rescue like proper superheroes. Now say your line again.
We come through for you when you need us to?
No, say it like this. We come through for you when you need us to.
Get Eco.
ECO. Jerry.
Yeah, Aaron?
How about we put those capes in the closet until you get the jetpacks perfected?
We'll look right when we take flight.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco. Plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians. GetEco.com.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here, and the action is heating up this playoff season at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Lock in your touchdown picks. Check out trending parlays. Increase your winnings with profit boosts. New customers can get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. And unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app. Sign up with the promo code radio to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals with savings beyond low prices. Like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Save big on 2-liter bottles of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or 7-Up. Select varieties are just $1.49 each with your card and digital coupon. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Oh, hey, a fan show where you can be the star. Sundays at 11 is the new Fan Call-In Show presented by ESPN Bet at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Your calls, your tweets, your voicemails, your opinions. You could be a homer, a hater, or whatever you want to be. Your family may not listen to you, but we will. The Fan Call-In Show presented by ESPN Bet at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Sundays at 11 on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
It's a key ingredient called Tesnor. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. Total T is backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text ROCK to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 321-321. That's ROCK to 321-321.
It's almost Football Friday. All play and no work.
Sponsored by Tansky Sawmill Toyota.
Your home for football, The Fan. producers, co-hosts, friends. Some of those things are true. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
We haven't had a chance to talk about this. There's so much football to discuss that it is one of the funniest moments that happened Monday night after winning the national championship. You've no doubt seen it by now. Ryan Day, Will Howard, Cody Simon on a golf cart on the way to the press conference. So this is what happens. It's a long way between press conference and locker room, and so you get a golf cart and you drive it. Now, keep in mind, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and quite honestly, any stadium, modern stadium, has concourses big enough that in many instances you can drive, quite literally, a semi-truck down them. That's kind of the way that they're built. So they're in this, and you've seen it by now. The poor woman who is driving it, she just does not understand turning radius. It's just that simple. She does not have it at all. What is amazing to me about this is she tries to do like a 2-point turn, can't make it. She absolutely mashes the gas. Like, it's not like, are we sure I can make it? Let's check. She's confident that she's got the radius to be able to make the turn. She clearly cannot. Rams it in. She's lucky that Ryan Day has a foot.
Yeah, that could have gone real bad.
If you're one of these people who, like, leaves your foot hanging out on a golf cart, which is not advisable. A buddy of mine broke his ankle doing that.
Yeah, so. I know from experience.
Did you break an ankle doing that?
No, I did not, but stretched out some knee ligaments and a hamstring pretty good one time.
Yeah. But you want it just, it's a relaxed nature, but the reality is don't ever do that. Keep your feet in the cart. So he's lucky his feet were in. She drives right into the wall. The craziest thing about all of it, like, she gets out, looks at it, and then just bolts. Like, she's gone. There's not a solution. There's not like, I'm sorry. There's not apologetic. Like, Ryan looking at her like incredulously, like, what the hell, man? Will, to his credit, like all the rest of us, he's laughing, like busting up laughing in the back seat, watching all of this. And then they have to walk. They were actually 20 minutes late for the press conference because of this incident. They were asked about it. Here is Will and Ryan on the crash. This was from Tuesday morning.
Obviously, the golf cart incident was pretty funny. Coach Day, I hope you're all right. He got jolted a little bit, but
sent medical bills to the CFP.
That's yeah. All of a sudden, a little bit of neck injury. I think that what got her was the length of the cart. That had to be it.
It's very Austin Powers.
It was Austin Powers. Yeah, it was very, very Austin Powers. It's funny, like the boys, like NBC, I let drive the golf cart, and to this point has handled it pretty well. They're pretty easy to drive. I mean, it's not too hard. But yeah, her just bolting was the highlight for me. Just taking off and running, I guess figuring, what more can I do here?
Likely not returning on the job.
No, I don't.
The next time an event takes place at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I do wonder in those concourses, they wouldn't just have it be a one-way lane for both golf carts. Like, you have one lane going towards the locker room, and the golf cart goes down there, and then you have another golf cart come back. Like, no need for turning in these things.
The thing, when she takes off, I believe she's like, come on, guys, we got to go. We got to get to the press conference. And I think she was taking off to kind of lead the way for them to go to the press conference. My thing is, all these people have walkie-talkies. Let's get another golf cart over here, quick.
Yeah, I'm not following that woman.
I don't think she let anybody know. I think she just bolted. I heard a lot of people thought it was Steph Odie. She had to address it. No, it was not me driving the golf cart, which I thought was very funny. Very good job out of her. So, luckily no one hurt on that one. We do have finalists for some of the NFL awards. Your MVP finalists in the National Football League, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Saquon Barkley are your MVP finalists. Myles Garrett is a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year again. It feels like, I'm trying to pull this up. I see Myles as Defensive Player of the Year. Who are the other Defensive Player of the Year?
So you've got Zach Braun from the Eagles and Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals, Patrick Surtain II, TJ Watt from the Steelers.
Oh, they've got a bunch.
Several.
Okay, so they got, feels like Hendrickson with the 17.5 sacks. I mean, both he and Myles, if the hurries, the PFF numbers on Myles are always the best. So it'd be very easy for him to win it again, would make a lot of sense. But Hendrickson with the 17.5 sacks, it's usually a metric that pushes you over the top. Offensive Player of the Year, 2 Bengals are finalists for that, both Burrow and Jamar Chase finalists for that award, along with Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and Lamar Jackson on that side of things. Where do we come down on Joe Burrow being comeback player of the year? It's Sam Darnold, J.K. Dobbins, Burrow, Christian Gonzalez, quite honestly, if it's not DeMar Hamlin, what are we doing?
Yeah, isn't that the whole point of the award?
This is the second year in a row for him to be up for that award, correct? DeMar Hamlin?
Is it?
Because didn't he finish second last year behind Flacco?
Oh,
that's right, he did.
Right. Well, what's he up for it again for? I understand it 2 years
came back
ago.
again.
Well, he played the whole year this year. Last year, he kind of came back and only played a couple games, right?
So
he didn't play a lot, but this year he was a starter.
Yeah, he was. He was a starter. The comeback player of the year, to me, it shouldn't just be a quarterback who was unavailable the previous year. To me, it should be more like the Flacco, or in this instance, like J.K. Dobbins, who, multiple injuries and comes back. Otherwise, it's just going to be the quarterback who was unavailable the previous year due to injury for some of the season, and they're going to win it the next year. Sam Darnold would be a very worthy comeback player of the year. I mean, his career was vaporized, and he came all the way back from that. So I think he would be a very good one on that front. I think Burrow's got a chance to win Offensive Player of the Year.
It's kind of crazy to me that he could win that and not win the MVP. Not at least be a finalist for the MVP.
I think it does speak to the 3 that are finalists for it. I don't know what the final. The voting will come out, so the award gets announced on the 6th. Is what
do they do it the Saturday before the gala's the Saturday before usually the Super Bowl, where the NFL awards is?
I'm seeing NFL honors on February 6th, but they might do the MVP because the Super Bowl is on the 9th.
Yeah. Okay. Super Bowl's the 9th, so this would be the Thursday night leading into the Super Bowl would be the NFL honors. Yeah, that makes sense. That way you get the whole leagues at the Super Bowl, and they can all get in there.
I'd just be interested to see what the balloting looks like for the MVP, and that's when they usually release that.
I know we get caught up in recency bias, obviously, in this season with the NFL, but man, this NFL Offensive Player of the Year award with Lamar and Saquon and Derrick Henry and Burrow and Chase, I mean, all of these guys had all-time years.
Usually, Offensive Player of the Year goes to a non-quarterback because the MVP almost always goes to a quarterback. Like Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown. That might do it.
But Saquon rushed for over 2,000, and Derrick Henry was right there, and Lamar's numbers are insane.
Yeah, Lamar, I think Josh Allen will win the MVP. I think there's some Lamar fatigue, even though this was Lamar's best season ever. I mean, he was the first team All-Pro, though, I guess. So that maybe that's a harbinger of things to come, that this would be Lamar's 3rd MVP.
How much
he wins it.
How much does Lamar get penalized for having Derrick Henry, too, in the MVP vote?
It's silly, he shouldn't, but I wonder if there is going to be some of that. When you vote on these things, when you have the ballot, does it start like MVP at the top of said ballot, and then you trickle down the rest of the way? Because I wonder if voters pick an MVP, and then when they get down to Offensive Player of the Year, they go, well, I already picked him for MVP, so I'll pick somebody else for the OPY.
Yeah, you could do that. You could see somebody saying, look, Josh Allen's my most valuable player. And you can make an argument. Allen statistically is not in the vicinity of Lamar, but what he is his team isn't as good either. I mean, he does not have that supporting cast. This is the best supporting cast Lamar's ever had.
That's why Burrow, I thought, was such a strong candidate, even over Lamar.
I just think he needed to win a little bit more. He was unbelievable. I mean, 49-18, 43 touchdowns. What a waste. What a waste of a season. The Bengals had a receiver win the Triple Crown, the quarterback win the passing title, and you had a defensive end win the sack title, and you missed the postseason. Jeez. We spent a lot of time, you guys, both Browns fans, complain about that, but you got beef, you're a Bengals fan, to miss out on the postseason with that type of year from those type of generational players. We'll open up the mailbag coming up. Second hour, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Buckeye games have been airing on WBNS since before you were born and before your parents were born and before Abraham Lincoln was born. Trust me. Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan.
Replace your furnace with Logan AC and Heat Services. Get a free Trane furnace with the purchase of an air conditioner and 0% APR financing for 72 months. Get a free indoor air quality product when you schedule your installation by the end of the month. We offer a system for every home and every budget. And with same-day estimates and next-day installation, it's hard to stop a Trane. Schedule your free estimate now and get fast, friendly service from Logan Services.
Congratulations, Ohio State, national champions! Get to Dick's for a huge selection of officially licensed Ohio State gear, including hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and more for men, women, and kids. New championship merchandise is arriving daily. Shop in-store or online at Dicks.com with free shipping on championship product. We have everything you need to show off your team pride. Every season starts at Dick's.
Pickup truck, sports car, motorcycle, minivan, townhouse, two-story, farmhouse, fixer-upper. What you drive and where you live is different for everyone, so it's important to have insurance that fits your needs and is just right for you. At Shelter Insurance, we understand that, which is why our agents help you design a comprehensive auto, home, and life insurance plan. Insurance that fits just right. Find an agent at shelterinsurance.com to get started. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
Incarceration, America's rock, metal, and tattoo festival with Slipknot. Falling in Reverse. Five-Finger Death Punch. Plus Marilyn Manson, 3 Days Grace, Beartooth, Knocked Loose, Lamb of God, Parkway Drive, I Prevail, In This Moment, and so many more. Report to the Ohio State Reformatory on July 18th through 20th, 2025 to face your sentencing. 3 days of rock, tattoos, and the return of the Haunted Blood Prison. Passes for incarceration are on sale now at incarceration.com. Certified.
Harry Douglas here for Technique's new noise-canceling True Wireless AZ80 earbuds. Technique's has been revolutionizing the audio game for almost 60 years. With multi-point connection of up to 3 devices at the same time, the AZ80s let you go from leading a meeting to listening to a podcast to taking a call seamlessly. Visit us.techniques.com/sports to shop for AZ80s now. That's us.technics.com/sports.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. The Blue Jackets crushed the Maple Leafs 5-1 last night in Toronto. CBJ were powered by Adam Fantilli, who recorded his first career hat trick. Jackets hold a 2-game slide with the win and will skate in Carolina tonight versus the Hurricanes. Face-off there is 7 o'clock. Pre-game coverage on the Fan is 6:30. Jackets head to Carolina with 52 points. That's got them currently in the first wildcard spot in the East. In the NFL, the AFC and NFC champions will be decided this Sunday. Eagles host the Commanders in the NFC title tilt. Bills are at the Chiefs for the AFC crown. Earlier today, the league announced their 3 MVP finalists, Saquon Barkley, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow is a finalist for Comeback Player of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year. Browns pass rusher Myles Garrett, a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. Those awards are going to be announced on February 6th, 3 days before the Super Bowl. This update is sponsored by BMI Federal Credit Union. Enjoy rates as low as 9.90% APR with a Visa Platinum card from BMI.
The uncle you never knew you had. The friends you kind of wish you didn't. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, Paul Finebaum coming up at 10:30. Time to open up the mailbag. Hit it, fellas.
Our comment box is always open. Any feedback is mostly appreciated.
The mail never stops. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. There's never a let up. It's relentless. Every day it piles up more and more and more, and you got to get it out. And the more you get out, the more it keeps coming in.
Bishop and Friends present emails.
Lots of good ones. The first two have to do with Coach Day, and then we'll have a little bit of a discussion on it. This one from Scott, the subject about last night, -Day. He writes, "You are certainly going to have some stories that come out of this title, but I think the biggest one is Coach Day, who is a fascinating study. He had title runs in 19 and 20, of course, 2 years ago, but the first two of those would have been largely with Myers recruits and infrastructure. But, of course, those never happened. Yes, Coach Day may have been born on third base, but he got picked off trying to steal home and had to get back to the box, each time with a little bit more battered. Say what you want about the guy, but he won this one with his recruits, his coordinators, his way. That's huge. We've seen plenty of examples of the former, but this result, as tough as it was, is more rewarding and more sustainable. To that end, here's a guy that is more aggressive recruiter than Tressel, while having a temperament that is a better suited for long-term health, figuratively and literally, than Urban Meyer. I don't know what his NFL goals are. He may not know at this point, but he has an advantageous setup in Columbus and an entirely different gravitas than 45 days ago. You could very easily end up that he has a middling record against Michigan with more national titles than his revered predecessors. Always enjoy the show." That one piggybacks off of this one from loyal listener and emailer Greg from Botkins. Ryan Day, give Ryan Day his flowers is the subject. Here's the message. Well, fellas, Ryan Day did what everyone said he couldn't do after November 30th. But if you fellas look in the history books of Ohio State football, there's always been an issue with football players getting into some type of trouble with law enforcement or some type of shenanigans during the season. Tressel and Urban both struggled with keeping law and order among the football team. I don't think Ryan Day has ever needed to suspend a player in his entire coaching career at Ohio State. Ryan Day hasn't had one peep of issues with these players. Maybe it's because the fellas are just good guys. To my point, Will Howard is a great guy that I'd want him to marry my daughter if I had a daughter, parenthetically. My question for you fellas, is Ryan Day running the cleanest program in the history of Buckeye football? I'm really glad that he sent that. Until I read that email from Greg, and it piggybacks off the email from Scott in terms of the sustainability of Ryan here and what his why is. When players get in trouble off the field and you do the job we do, you don't notice it until it happens, and you don't think about it until it happens. But when I read his email, I thought to myself, who's the last kid here who got into some sort of off-field trouble? I couldn't think of one in the last 3 or 4 years. I'm sure there is one. Someone on social will track something down that I forgot. I'm sure there's a minor player. But if you go back to Tress and Urban, those incidents did happen. It wasn't crazy. It was not like, the Florida program in the 2000s, or certainly the Georgia program now, where there's speeding tickets and all the things that happen all the time in Georgia. It's never been quite like that. But there were some incidents. I can't think of one under Ryan's watch. Do you have any reason?
Jack Miller, the former quarterback, had an oopsie daisy with a truck. I think it was an OVI, and they downgraded it to reckless operation.
He ended up transferring to Florida, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not much. There just hasn't been. This goes to something that I talked about with Austin on Monday in advance of the national championship game. Ryan Day is a really good human being. He's a good person. You talk to anybody who covers him, and this is a big difference at times between some other folks that you cover. He's a genuine article. He's an authentic dude. He's incredibly candid with you. Incredibly candid. We know how much mental health means to him and his family. He's been very candid about the struggles and the pressure that he puts on himself. The story that Bruce Feldman wrote about him and his wife and his family and everything that happened after the Michigan loss, all of those things. He's incredibly candid. And I do hope that what Greg wrote and what Scott wrote is something that a great many of us give some time to reflect on. Because it's to be completely proud of a program. Yes, it's winning, but it's also recruiting the right people who represent you 365 and represent this state. There's a pressure, there's a responsibility that comes with that. And I do think it's a really good point out of Greg in that it feels like Ryan's teams do that the best. There aren't many blips character-wise.
Yeah, that's why, I had said it with trepidation Monday that this was the best place, the best spot that this program's been in 20 years. And Monday's, I think, convinced me and probably sealed the deal for a lot of people out there that under Ryan Day, this program is as healthy as it has been ever. If you look at who's being sent to the NFL from the program, the off the field oopsie daisies are at a minimum. Now, obviously, with Jim Tressel, things are a little bit different because memorabilia and that sort of thing is fine to be sold for name, image, and likeness, under the guise of a name, image, and likeness thing. Yeah. But this operation that's being run currently out of the Woody Hayes Athletic Center is as clean and as successful as there has ever been in Old Columbus Town. Now that you have the championship, I don't see where an argument can come from.
Yeah. No, I think that's really good email out of both Scott and Greg on that. This one from Maheim. Love the show. Well, thank you for the kind words. He writes, a lot has been made about the amount of money the Buckeyes spent this offseason. I'm noticing some of the loudest voices on the airways and on the artists formerly known as Twitter who are bringing this up, and former top college players whose NFL careers were mid. I'm guessing this is a reference to Robert Griffin III. How much do you think this is just sour grapes? Kurt Warner did, too, on the part of some former excellent college football players that didn't have the opportunity to get their fair value when they played. I don't think it's that at all. I think it's just ignorance. I think somehow this summer that number came out there, and for people who aren't around the sport all the time, it was shocking. For those of us who are around the sport and know what college football is about now, it was not shocking at all. I think if you pay attention to the people who know, that number was probably low, and that number, I know, was not even near the top of the sport that was spent this year on rosters. It was not. You got to go back. We were at Muirfield.
We're at the Memorial Tournament.
Yeah, when Doug snuck into like that booster thing.
He signed up for it.
He signed up and went, and that number came out of Ryan telling everybody, "Look, it's going to be $13 million to retain this roster." This was 2 years ago, wasn't it, Reese?
Yes.
It wasn't even last year.
And we were sitting there, and you even talked to Doug, and everybody, I think, was in agreement with, like, that's the going rate for this if you want to do it at the highest level.
I think a lot of it is Ohio State fatigue or Ohio State hate as well. Just like we hear so much, it's anybody but the Chiefs. Anybody but the Chiefs. The Chiefs get all the calls, all this. I think it comes with Ohio State as well, whereas people love to hate Ohio State too, and it's an easy thing to point at and say, oh, they paid for this roster, yada, 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 when everybody else in the sport is doing it. And like we've talked about, Ohio State, a lot of that money was paid to keep their players, not bring other players in. They did bring players in key spots. They filled holes, but most of it was retention.
This one from Ralph. Thing or not a thing? Well, lately I've been wondering why people aren't talking about how Notre Dame and Ohio State are the first programs to win 2 major bowls in one season. Friday, you were talking about how this system is more like the NFL playoffs than the old bowl system. Is it a thing or not a thing that they have accomplished this? You know, it's interesting because I was thinking about this when we were talking about the biggest gap between a win or a loss. And I said, well, they will have not won anything if they don't win this national championship. And think about that, like a whole career without winning anything. And then you think, well, they won the Rose Bowl. They won the Cotton Bowl. There are trophies for those things. I don't know how they're treated or felt. We are in this transition in the sport right now where we're trying to figure out what's what. Obviously, in the old days, you win the Rose Bowl, that trophy goes in the Woody. You win the Cotton Bowl, it goes in the Woody. Those two, by the way, will go. What I don't know, though, is would they go in there if they had lost to Notre Dame?
Cool, we don't have to think about that.
We don't.
But the eyeballs, if those go in a trophy case, the eyeballs aren't on those.
I think they probably do end up regardless. It's just funny how far the sport has come and where those things don't matter anymore.
I think it was the weirdest juxtaposition was, and I've mentioned this many times, after those bowl games that were just quarterfinal, semifinal games.
They won the Rose Bowl.
Oh, my God, the confetti and the Rose Bowl champions. And you're going, okay, well, we got Texas and Dallas in 10 days. So can we hurry this up so I can watch some film on the Longhorns? Matt with this, the subject is Taylor Swift. Oh, baby. I do think the NFL cares about Taylor Swift. If they didn't, they wouldn't show her 10 times a game. Come on, Bo. Matt, it's not the NFL that's choosing to show her 10 times a game. It's the television partners that are choosing to show her 10 times a game. The NFL is not mandating this. The television partners are doing it, and the reason that they're doing it is because she's the most famous person on the planet. We're on a very short list. So this goes back to, I mean, this has been going on forever. You go back to the 80s, if you're old enough, Matt. You remember when the Lakers and Celtics would play, and the Lakers, they still do this. They show you Celebrity Row. They do that because us commoners like to see famous people.
Just
There's
imagine,
every time you watch a Knicks game, you see Spike Lee.
Roger Goodell sitting in his booth, texting Jim Nantz, "Hey, you got to tell your guy, get on Taylor. Get on Taylor just before the commercial break."
Baseball games show Jerry Seinfeld when he's there. They
LeBron on Monday.
Billy Crystal, LeBron, WWE, UFC. They always, in their broadcast, show the people that are sitting front row.
Absolutely, yeah. The famous people are going to be shown. That's just the way that it goes. I did get another email. We don't do Would You Rather here, but I'm going to make an exception. It's an interesting one. We'll get to that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
This promo is brought to you by Common Man and Timmy Hall's Ping Pong Game. The Fan.
I'm Rick Reichert. Reichert Ford just wrapped up one of our biggest sales years in our history. So we're celebrating with the January kickoff sales event. And we're dealing. Lease a new 2024 hybrid F-150 for just $599 a month for 36 months. 0 down. Or lease a 2024 Bronco Sport for just $399 a month for 36 months. Also, 0 down. One of the largest Ford inventories in America. Over 1,000 new Fords on the ground and on the way. And it's all on sale. Plus, don't miss our 0 down programs. Available now. No other dealer in Columbus, in Ohio, or the entire country is dealing like this, period. So let's make 2025 another great year. Start with Reichert Ford's January kickoff sales event at the largest volume Ford dealer in Ohio at Route 33 and Hamilton Road, 2 minutes off 270, and at ReichertFord.com. Based on 2024 Ford report for total new retail sales, Cincinnati region. Leases on approved credit. No security deposit required. Ends 2-3. Come in now.
Get the right car at Reichert.
We're dealing.
Hey, Ohio, Prime Sports has arrived. The only book where you can lay 108 instead of 110 on all your favorite teams. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, you name it. Why would you risk more to win the same amount at another sports book? Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Use promo code JUSTSPORTS. Get a welcome bonus up to $100. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 or older and present in Ohio. If you or anyone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
That's are us. When dreams sunk in, that's are us. Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 380-225-BATH. That's are us. When dreams sunk in, that's are us.
Hey friends, Beamer here, and all right, Columbus, we know it. We're celebrating a championship. They did it. And the journey to get there, it wasn't luck. It was a season of executing game plans, weekly coaching, adapting strategies, and celebrating the wins along the way. Does that sound familiar to anybody? That's exactly what it feels like with Awaken 180 weight loss. When I started, I had a goal. It was pretty simple. Drop the weight and feel better. I really didn't think too much about the process going in, but it really is all about the process. I have weekly coaching, a plan that works for me, and the motivation to keep on going. Awaken 180 has the perfect formula for losing weight fast, making it easy and giving you a big old W at the very end. All the other guys here did it. I'm getting closer to my goal every week, 35 pounds down so far. It basically fell off. I feel fantastic. When I get up in the morning, I feel great. I feel rejuvenated. I feel energized for the first time in a while. You can reach your goal. Do what we all did. Choose the solution for weight loss online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Here's a quick listening guide. When something's on the fan, it's on the station you're listening to right now. If I say something's on ESPN Columbus, it's on 1460 AM and the Fan's HD2. When in doubt, stream it on the Fan app. Thank you and good night.
Hey, folks, it's game day, and the betting's going to be intense, Drew.
You said it, Dave, but a good pregame routine keeps betting responsible.
That's right. You got to pause before you play.
Good call. Sports betting is hot, but it can be risky.
And pausing to set limits is an all-star move.
That's right, Dave. If you bet on sports, pause before you play to set limits, recognize the risk, and know when to stop.
Learn more at pausebeforeyouplay.org.
If you recently lost health coverage due to a life change, healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Marcus when he lost his job. And Keisha when she turned 26 and lost her parents' insurance. And Elena when she went off Medicaid. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
It is cloudy and cold out there right now. We will be looking at a weak disturbance moving through this evening. We will be tracking the threat of a few snow showers between about 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Quick dusting to a half of an inch is possible. Tonight, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies, low temperatures around 12 degrees. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
If you don't like listening to Morning Juice, Bobby Carpenter's man nipples will punch you in the face. For real.
You want to fight, do you? Weekdays from 6 to 9.
The Fan. Find us on YouTube. Search WBNS Radio and you can see what Bo looks like. But only if you subscribe. This is Bishop and Friends.
Indeed it is, and as always, we are very proud to be sponsored by our great friends at Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. All right, I got another email here. This one had me thinking a little bit. This is classic, like sports talk radio stuff. Good job out of Ken. The subject was, would you rather? Ken, thank you for the kind words. Where's this pickup? So he's trying to reach first time he's ever emailed in. So he calls us a would you rather. Here it is. This comes on the heels of so many Buckeye fans struggling to admit or actually sadly believing that a win versus that team up north is actually more important than a national championship in any given year. In an attempt to create a scenario that may actually require a bit of thought from those of us who value a natty overall, in the next 5 years or any given 5-year span, would you rather Buckeyes go 4-1 versus that team up north but don't win the natty, or Buckeyes go 2-3 versus that team up north, but win the natty? I originally had the second option at 1-4 for symmetry, but couldn't imagine fans could swallow losing that much to that team up north, even for a title. Feel free to use the option if you find more compelling to ponder. 4-1 versus that team up north, no natty. 2-3 versus that team up north, win a natty. I think to me, it'd be 2-3 and win the natty.
Yeah, you get a national championship.
Guys, I'll go even further. If you win a national championship, but you go 0-5 against them, that sucks. But you take the national championship, right? I just think for so long, you couldn't win a national championship without winning that game. That's what makes it so hard for people. But it's different times now, whether we like it or not. And I want to beat them as much as anyone. I want them to lose every game.
Yeah.
I can't stand them, and I can't stand their fans. I can't stand their fans saying that they're the true national champions this year because they beat Ohio State, and all the riffraff in the YouTube chat that's trying to fire everybody up. It does make fun fodder, but I hate it. But if you're winning national championships, come on.
This is going to be something that's going to take some getting used to for Buckeye fans and Michigan fans and Auburn fans and Alabama fans and all of it. What Bake said there is that's the real point. That forever you couldn't do one without the other. You couldn't. Now, we have an example of this, and we cited it many times in the lead up to the national championship chase that Ohio State was on, of Jalen Hurts walking around campus in Tuscaloosa in an Auburn jersey carrying the national championship trophy. That happened. And when it happened, from the perspective that I am in, I viewed that as, well, that's a pretty good brag. That's a pretty good bit. Fine, you won the Iron Bowl, but look what I got. I won the whole damn thing, right? So this is going to be something that's going to take some time to get used to for Buckeye fans. And I'm like you, Bake. I don't ever want to lose to them. The difference that I have with you, and that sometimes this gets misconstrued, I want them undefeated when you play them. I want Ohio State, Michigan to be number 2 versus number 3, number 1 versus number 4. I want it to be like that always, because I covered it when it wasn't that. And it wasn't the same. It was not the same when they were trotting out Stephen Threet and Tate Forcier and Brady Hoke's out there in 30 below zero air temp or wind chill temp with no sleeves on his shirt. I remember that. It was much more satisfying when Curtis Samuel scored in overtime. That was much more satisfying when you took something like that from them, which unfortunately they've taken from you the last 4 years. So this is going to take a little getting used to.
That's what a rivalry is, though.
It is.
True rivalry.
It has to adjust. I don't know. I think eventually it'll get to the point of like when the Browns play the Steelers and you hate them and you want to beat them more than anything. But if you are to lose, it's like the Steelers lost to the Browns in a Snow Bowl game. And both teams hate each other, and you didn't want any of that. Think about when the Steelers play the Ravens, right? Those most fierce rivalries in the NFL, they hate each other, the fans hate each other, there's all of that, but then you wake up on Monday and you say, okay, I think eventually that's where these college football rivalries will kind of get to. And that part, it does make me sad that they don't have that absolute season-ending feel anymore. They don't. But it's also the reality of the sport, and it's a reality of there's going to be even more of this when it goes to 16.
Bo, I was just thinking that when you said that about the Browns, I was just in here thinking, I hate the Ravens, I hate the Steelers, but I would go 0-4 against them next year if it meant the Browns won the Super Bowl, and I would be happy as could be.
Yeah.
I mean, you say it's going to take some getting used to, but I feel like on Sunday at noon, and something you can hear live on the Fan, that national championship celebration is going to make everybody forget, finally, what happened on November 30th.
I've done a bunch, obviously, with them winning the national championship. You end up doing a lot of out-of-market radio hits for various people around the country and various friends I've met through the years. And I will tell you this, every one of them, without fail, has asked, are the Buckeye fans over the loss to Michigan? Every one. Some form of that question has been asked to me in every one of them. And I think it's going to be, I think the answer obviously is yes. You won the national championship. That's part of it. I think that my hunch is the way that this is going to go in the future for this rivalry, for the Iron Bowl, for the other ones that are in that vicinity. I don't know that there are any more in that vicinity. It seems like those two are the ones that are kind of separate from everything else. There will be a sense of, we sure as hell don't want to lose that game, but if you do, you better make a run. And I don't know that it means like you have to win a national championship, but you got to go make a run. And so it's going to be just going to be a period of adapting. And I wish there was a way to keep it and to keep it that way. But just imagine, guys, if you had to play, it's very much in play that you're going to play them more than once in the very near future. You could play. Think about when like Julian Sands, a sophomore, and Underwood's in his first year as a starter. Maybe he started half the year, his rookie year, his freshman year at Michigan. I mean, you could play them here in the last game of the regular season, then play them in Indy for the Big Ten title, and then potentially play them again you could play them 3 times. I mean, that didn't happen this year. So then which one matters most? The most recent one? That would be my guess. So it sucks, but it is going to start to get watered down a little bit. It can't help but be watered down a little bit because it isn't a gatekeeper anymore to a national championship the way that it used to be, to Baker's point.
Bo, we talked yesterday about 10 years from now when this team comes back and they're honored in the shoe at halftime of a game, or 20 years from now when we look back. I wonder how many of us are going to think that team lost to Michigan, though. That was a brutal loss. I wonder. So. I wonder if that's going to be there at all.
I don't think so.
If it is, I feel like the answer is,
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it'll be a footnote. I think it'll always be part of the story because of the way that they responded to it, and the way they showed out against Tennessee.
Almost like endearing, like they lost to Michigan and then they went on the greatest run ever.
I think it's an integral part of the story of the team. I think all of it is. I think the 1 yard, one play short 1 yard, 1 second short at Oregon is part of the story of the team. Without that, I don't know that you have kind of the changes that we saw defensively without that. I reject the notion that you had to lose to Michigan to win the national title. I don't think that was the case. I do think that the loss to Michigan calloused this team in a way that none of us thought possible. And they chose, after being punched in the mouth in the most brutal way, and honestly, literally punched in the mouth at the end of that game, the Ohio State Buckeyes chose violence. That's what they did. They chose violence, and they annihilated the opposition. And that's leadership, that's coaching, that's all of it. It's part of the story. Has to be. Can't be ignored. I don't even know if they'd want it to be forgotten, quite honestly. There's no doubt. You cannot argue it was not a catalyst for what we saw from this team going forward. It's a great question in terms of what happens going forward and which one you would take. But I think that the correct answer would be the 2-3 and the title, or even the 1-4 and the title, over the 4-1 and no title.
It's a great question, and I think it's going to be a great question for another 5 to 10 years at least while people get used to this.
I think you're probably right. The South is having to get used to the Northern dominance, the voice of the South. The great Paul Finebaum's up in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Come cheer on the Ohio State Buckeyes men's basketball team as they take on the Iowa Hawkeyes on January 27th at The Shot. Don't miss out on themed games, unforgettable fan experiences, and the ultimate Buckeye traditions. Buy your tickets now at ohiostatebuckeyes.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text PREP to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text PREP to 42424. That's PREP to 42424.
Congratulations, Ohio State, national champions! Get to Dick's for a huge selection of officially licensed Ohio State gear, including hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and more for men, women, and kids. New championship merchandise is arriving daily. Shop in-store or online at Dicks.com with free shipping on championship product. We have everything you need to show off your team pride. Every season starts at Dick's.
You hungry? You know you are. We got chicken fingers, crunchy. Fries are golden crispy, baby. Yo, don't forget about the cane sauce, baby. Ooh, right here's the spot. Hello.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Cosby Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan. Bishop and Friends present college football's most polarizing figure.
Listen to me. Hey, Paul, how you doing? Come on back to our show, Tim. The audience hates you.
This is ESPN's Paul Finebaum.
Indeed it is. He joins on the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline, as he does every Thursday with us at this time. Paul, thank you so much for the time. This Ohio State story that has been authored is an incredible one. I think it's the biggest gap between if they would have lost on Monday, how they would have been remembered, versus now that they have won. From your vantage point, watching what this team did over the last 45 days, what stands out to you, and what do you make of this run?
Well, I think it was truly one of the great redemption stories, maybe in sports history, Bo. Forget college football, but I think everybody listening knows where this program was, and really to see it come back. And I think you're right. A loss would have really been hard to handle because of all the most obvious flashpoints, the most talented team, the best team, the margin of victory. But ultimately, it would have still been difficult for Ryan Day to swallow based on everything else. Instead, really so many things are coming out now about him, which I'm sure you and many of your audience knew, but the rest of the country has taken notice.
Yeah, and taken notice for Ryan as well. And you mentioned certainly the Feldman story and many of the others that have come out about everything that followed the loss to Michigan. When I think back to this run, Paul, and I'm curious, I mean, we talk every week, but like none of us here were sure what we would see against Tennessee. That was really that could have gone about a billion different ways. Nobody knew, and I think a great deal of credit goes to Ryan for the way that he bunkered in and got his team calloused and believing the way that they did. And I think when you look at this run, it really all starts with the way they played against Tennessee. What do you make of that one? I know that's over a month ago now, but as kind of the catalyst for this run.
Well, there was a great unknown. I think by the time we got to the second and third game, the expectations and the odds had changed. But Tennessee was a troubled team, but it was still explosive. The defense was elite. And there was just a general fear of what would Ohio State look like. And I think on top of that, I mean, all the stories about the army of Tennessee fans really overshadowed the build up to the game. But I think the way the explosion occurred so quickly, we all started. It's almost like we hit the refresh button and said, "Okay, we better take a different look at this Buckeye team." And the one thing I'll say about Ryan Day, unlike a lot of coaches, he didn't talk. He didn't say anything. I mean, you may certainly. I know you know a lot more than most of us, and you heard things internally. But I thought that was really the remarkable story because so many coaches now just have to clap back, and he never did.
No, he didn't. And for those of us that know him pretty well, I think it fits his character a little bit that he didn't do that. I think it's pretty authentic to who he is as a person. Since Nick Saban retired, which is just about a year ago when he did, kind of shocking for some of us that he did decide to do that. To me, Paul, there feels like there's been this race for who's got next in the sport. And I don't proclaim that anyone, not going to pretend that anybody's going to have a Saban run. But in terms of who's at the top of the sport, that's kind of what I felt the Texas-Ohio State game was about, and obviously Georgia's right there too. Is Ryan Day now, he's in the pole position, is he not, and this Buckeye program with him?
Unquestionably, because the template has been formulated, and really a lot of places are going the other way, Alabama being one of them. I was talking to a reporter yesterday who said there's just a fatigue factor there. There's an apathy. So you move them off the board, and it really comes down to Georgia and Texas from the SEC. And listen, I don't know where Penn State is. I never had faith in Penn State. I mean, they just, for all the reasons we've said ad nauseum, even though they look very good for 25, but Ohio State has always been there. They just haven't always delivered. So to me, and I'm saying something that's very obvious to many people, but I thought it was a little sad for me to see Gene Smith not being the athletic director for a program that he built. And I say that knowing Ross Bjork very well. But it just the idea of Ross Bjork just kind of parachuting into town and getting to be the winning athletic director bothered me a little bit.
I'll pass that along. I know he listened, so he no doubt heard that.
Please do.
You'll probably get a text, would be my guess on that, my friend.
It won't be the first.
Won't be the first. No, I bet not. Was this this is now 2 straight national championship games without SEC participation. Was these last 2 years, is this the Appomattox moment, if you will, of boy, we are not the preeminent anymore, and what type of panic at all, if at all, well, knowing your callers, I'm sure there's a lot, is there in the South of 2 straight national championship games being played without SEC participation?
There's a lot of panic, and I said something the other morning, which you may have heard about, and I'm catching more flack from SEC fans for telling the truth than all the times I've stood up on top of the hill with one sword fighting the good fight. And it's you know me, I don't really care. No. But I find it laughable that some of my colleagues are still trying to equivocate. Hey, well, we're still going to win the draft. No, who cares? It's all about the championship. And if Josh Allen loses Sunday, you can't say, well, he still had the best season over Patrick Mahomes. Nobody will care about that, and nobody cares about the SEC in relation to how many players they have or anything else. The bottom line is they've been out in the national championship game, and that hurts badly.
What is the What do you think is the number one reason for that? How has this? What has been the number one catalyst for this shift the last couple of years?
Well, I think in some ways it's cyclical, but even more than that, this year in particular, it was quarterback play. I can't say that last year because Carson Beck was elite, and this league also had Jaden Daniels. And I'm thinking back now, how in the world did Jaden Daniels lose some of the games that he did? And the reason was quite obvious. LSU had no defense. But ultimately, I think these things do cycle out. And the thing about Saban that nobody wants to admit, that his program, even though they made it to the semifinals last year, was still in decline from where it has been at its peak. And that's pretty obvious. And even Saban yesterday in an interview said that last year was one of the hardest years he's ever had. So I think there's just a lot of things, and I think this is also what happens, Bo, when you brag too much. When your league motto is it just means more, and the commissioner gets up there and talks about the Sesame Street explanations, it's just different down here. And when you don't go 2 years in a row, it boomerangs. I mean, in other leagues, you're not saying, hey, it's a big deal, the ACC's not there, or the Big 12, or someone else, but the SEC's overall record is fantastic, but it should be in the championship game. That's what we promote all year long.
Yeah, it absolutely is. The power brokers in this wherever this sport goes, it's going to be Sankey and Petiti that are going to decide it. They're going to meet in New Orleans, I think, in February is what I saw earlier this week. Right. The CFP will have changes. What do you think will be changed first now that we have a year of this thing under our belt? What will be the immediate change that they will make for next year? Because I don't think anybody thinks they're running it back just as it was.
Well, I think the SEC is going to try to get an automatic bid in the championship game.
Just a bye to the final.
Yeah, just they don't have to compete. Seriously, I think they're going to do away with the seeding system once we get to 26, where you get the disproportionate matchups that we had this year in the second round. That's really the fly in the ointment. I'm not sure about the adding two or four more. Frankly, I don't think it's going to change all that much. Half the teams in the playoff this year, had no business being in there, as we've talked about. But they have to be inclusive. So I think they'll also make sure that the SEC and the Big Ten are protected a little bit better. And finally, the real question I think beyond that conversation is what to do with these conference championship games. They are worthless. You and I know that. I mean, the fact that the ACC's model that keeps the champion out of the championship game even somewhat makes sense is just shows you how convoluted these things are.
Yeah, obviously, you and I have talked about that before. You got to get rid of them right away. I know you have Greg Sankey's ear. One thing that I think they ought to explore is instead of being the dessert for the NFL on divisional weekend, be the appetizer. Play these games on Friday. The numbers came in about $22 million for this. It's really good numbers, but it certainly wasn't. 10 years ago, it was 34. And I think playing on Monday, there's just some football fatigue coming out of the divisional round. And you mentioned it before with your own employer in terms of like, and I think I even saw this on Get Up on Monday. They're like, we got to bring Paul in here and do college football for 5 minutes. And it's not like the whole day prepping it because they're reacting to divisional. I think they got to get on Friday if they're going to insist on playing this late in the season. What do you think about that?
Yeah, listen, I lived it this year, and it was like, we have to do it. And I sat there for about 5 minutes waiting for the conversation to die down about the Eagles, about Jaden Daniels, and I love Mike Greenberg, but you could tell he did not want to end that conversation to have to talk about only the national championship game in college football.
Yeah, it feels like a simple one, and we'll see if it gets it all fixed. I give Paul a lot of credit. Paul, I want to say most of the times I would finish the conversation with who's the best team in college football right now, and for the majority of the weeks that you've been on with us, you have said the Buckeyes. And so there were 4 teams where the talents was different, and the one that I think most of us thought was the most talented won it. Thank you so much all season long, my friend, for your time. We'll visit again next week on some off-season issues. I am certain of that. Thanks, buddy.
It has been my pleasure. It just means more, Bo.
It does. Well played out of him. That, yeah. I mean, it's Pete Burns, I think, on SEC Network who's been all over that. Like, just can't let go of it. But let him. It's 2 years in a row without SEC participation in the national championship game. And when you start to think about that league, like, if not for Texas, next year, who's there? You look at the way too early top 25s, it's Texas, and then it's a gap. There's some Georgia, Alabama belief. That struck me when he said there's fatigue at Alabama. wild to think that that's the case. We'll hit Thing or Not a Thing up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Imagine all the things you dream of under one roof. You're thinking of eBay. Fashion, collectibles, car parts, it's all there. Go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay, things people love.
The Ohio State Coaches Daily Show is brought to you locally on The Fan by Credit Union of Ohio.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, two-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance and their local independent agents are prepared for what's next and protect what matters most to you. Whether that's your home, car, business, or family, Encova's got your back with a policy that fits you perfectly. With local independent agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova's playbook is an easy win for your peace of mind. You can trust their team of agents to develop a strategy that's just right for you. And it's not just X's and O's. Your expert agent will guide you and provide insurance solutions so you can confidently manage your risk and count on a financially secure future. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you. Encova is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
You're listening to the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Hey, basketball fans, Credit Union of Ohio wants to help you score more by making life more affordable. It's time to play with a team that helps you win every day. Credit Union of Ohio's loan rates have dropped to provide affordable financing for the things you want and need. It's time to reevaluate your current loans and consider refinancing with a team that cares about you. Check out current specials and get started scoring more money at cuofohio.org. That's cuofohio.org. NCUA insured, equal housing lender.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint. With their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind or grab a carryout. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizza, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
At Meijer, we work hard to bring more of the good life to your life so you can bring home more perfectly plump and flavorful produce picked for precise freshness, beautifully marbled beyond brag-worthy certified Angus beef, and more must-have money-saving M-Perks rewards. Because saving more on local favorites is good, but bringing home more of what you love in every trip, that's the good life.
We do more to make life a good deal better at Meijer.
The New Year's celebration is come and gone, but my friends at Germain Honda of Dublin are still offering those great deals. Rich is sticking with rates starting as low as 0% and leases starting from only $249 a month. Test drive the Prologue, the new all-electric SUV from Honda. And how about the very popular CR-V LX all-wheel drive? A 25 lease is only $349 a month for 36 months with $19.99 down. See the dealer for all these amazing details. Germain Honda of Dublin on Sawmill Road, just south of 270.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
The best hair on the air. You are listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing on a Thursday. Hit it, fellas.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Apex Plumbing Pros.
A few hours after Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen pulled his name from consideration for the head coaching position in Jacksonville, the Jaguars parted ways with general manager Trent Baalke. In a statement, team owner Shad Khan said, quote, following several discussions with Trent this week, we both arrived at the conclusion that it is in our mutual best interests to respectfully separate effective immediately. Trent leaves us with my deepest appreciation for his efforts over the past 5 seasons. I am deeply committed to building a winner here in Jacksonville and look forward to introducing a head coach who will make that happen for our players and fans alike. End quote. Thing or not a thing?
So just for the audience, was it the press conference that Shad Khan had with Trent Baalke, where, and I'm paraphrasing here, he said essentially, well, he can go if he has to. We can move off of it. I mean, I have that right? I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's kind of the gist of it.
He basically said if we hired a head coach that came in with good reasons and plans as to why we should move on from Baalke and get a new GM, he would do that.
Okay, so talking in some NFL circles in the last couple of weeks, because I'm befuddled by this. I'm befuddled how this job is not the best job on the market. When I look at the talent on the roster, when I look at the quarterback, I still think Lawrence is a really good player. To me, I think about the division. Guys, the division is supremely winnable. It's there to go win the division. You got an owner who's one of the wealthiest owners in the sport, who's willing to spend. They're building new stuff, facilities, all of it. Like, this seems like a great job for me in the NFL, and it's not fulfilled. That coach position is not filled yet. So why? And everything that you heard back was Baalke, that nobody wants to work with him. And so this changes it. I don't know where they go here at head coach. I don't know what the operation is here and who they're looking for. Like, if you're somehow, it feels like this coaching cycle this year is kind of like, with the exception of Ben Johnson, I guess Aaron Glenn too, both those guys went off the Lions staff, but everyone keeps interviewing like these same guys who've been interviewed 100 times. Like, what do you need? You need to see more of Mike McCarthy? Do we need to see more of Robert Saleh? Like, Brian Schottenheimer, for God's sakes, interviewed for the Cowboys job. What in the hell in the last 2 decades has Brian Schottenheimer done that where you're like, oh yeah, he should run things?
I feel like this is a thing because I think what Jacksonville needed was Bill Belichick. I feel like they need someone to come in there and teach the Cons how to do this and how to do it right. I think they need a really, really experienced GM who has built something before, and I think they need a super experienced NFL head coach who can come in and kind of guide them and show them how to do things.
Who would that be now? Of the people out there, like you, I wonder if they went like crazy. What if they went like Gruden?
It's a possibility. Out of the coaches you mentioned, it would be Mike McCarthy, and I know there's been questions around him, but he does have a Super Bowl, and
he does. He also had Rodgers and Favre and has one.
True,
but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you're right. I think that's probably, they need like a figurehead guy. I mean, they need like Sean Payton when he took the job in Denver. They need like that type of guy.
They need their Dean Evison.
Yeah. I don't know who that is. I don't know who's available out there that would kind of check that box. But yeah, I think it's a great job.
Yesterday on SportsCenter, Mel Kiper Jr. was asked to compare how he ranked this year's quarterback class compared to last year's.
No comparison at all. Those guys all on my rating scale had 9, 8 grades. Cam Ward, Shador. Right now, Shador is at 9.2. Cam Ward's at 9.2. But I gave Shador's a slight edge. So big difference between a 9.8 and a 9.2 on that quarterback's rating board historically. So they were elite. They were some of the best quarterbacks really of all time in terms of grades. At 9.8 rating, I have a 9.9 for select guys. 9.8s are reserved for the guys that can be spectacular. We thought Caleb, Jaden, and Drake would be and could be. I don't see that for these guys right now. Certainly, they're going to get forced up. They're going to get overdrafted because quarterback's the most important position in all sports. But for me, they don't deserve to go that high based on grade, but they will go that high based on supply and demand.
I kind of want that music bed, but thing or not a thing?
Bed, yeah. Okay. I assume Mel's telling the truth here in terms of how he had last year's grade with Caleb. It'd be disingenuous for me, and quite honestly, dishonest for me to say that he didn't have it the way that he claims that he had it here. I can just tell you last year at the Combine, there was Caleb, Gap, Jaden, and Drake. That's the way that Cosell, Jeremiah, all of them. It was Caleb, Gap, Jaden, and Drake. Okay? My point, and the reason I'm bringing this up is nobody knows anything. They don't know anything. Right? So who knows what Cam Ward will be or Shedeur Sanders will be in the National Football League? My argument would be one of them's probably going to be pretty good. And so if you're a team who needs a quarterback, draft one until you have one. And if you have to take two, if you're the Browns, take one at 2, take one in the 3rd round. Fine. Get a veteran too. Because the rest of it doesn't matter. The rest of it doesn't matter. If you don't have a quarterback, there's a concrete ceiling you're going to hit your head up against. I mean, the Browns picking a 2 in division with Burrow and Jackson. They're not going anywhere.
This is a thing if you're a team like the Browns, Bo, and you need a quarterback because you are going to have to do your due diligence plus a little more on these guys to figure out if they are worth that pick at the top. And I'm with you, Bo. Like, I don't have faith in either of these guys. Maybe they will. I think in this draft, I would be someone who would want to try to get a quarterback in a lower round. But take 2 until you get one. Because if you don't have one in the NFL, it seems like you're screwed.
Why is it so much more? I mean, I know the answer to it, but have you noticed how much more attention you get for missing on a quarterback high than if you missed on, let's say, a left tackle? I mean, it's not even close. Like, you miss on a quarterback, they're the biggest butt. You missed on a position player, it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, the Browns have only taken 2 quarterbacks. I'm pretty sure I have that right. You guys could fact check me on this. They've only taken 2 quarterbacks in the top 10 since they've been back. Baker and Couch. I think that's it. Everybody else was 10s and teens. There was nobody else who was a top 10. Johnny wasn't. Whedon wasn't. Brady wasn't.
Yeah, they were all around 20, somewhere in there.
Always in the teens or 20s. Yeah.
Man, it's tough for the Browns right now. You got to really figure it out what you do. And, Bo, that the miss on the quarterback, you're right with that, but it's not as big a deal as it was 15, 20 years ago. That set your franchise back 10 years if you missed back then.
Look at Darnold. Look at Mariota. There's a lot of guys who went 1 or 2, and it doesn't work out, and then you just pivot. But you got to keep swinging, man. You have to keep swinging. And by the way, they're not allergic to being coached up. You can get more out of them. You coach them.
In an earnings call earlier this week, Netflix CEO Ted Sarnatos said they would be open to potentially acquiring rights to a full season of a live sport. Quote, we are constantly trying to broaden our programming, and live events is one of those things, and sports is one of those live events. So when I look at this and say that's a really fantastic thing, but it doesn't really change the underlying economics of full-season big league sports being extremely challenging. He adds, right now, we believe that the live events business is where we really want to be, and sports is a very important part of that, but it is a part of that expansion, end quote. There's been talk that UFC could sign with Netflix after their deal with ESPN's up at the end of this year. Thing or not a thing?
Well, huge thing. We know we're getting there where it's going to be Netflix and Google/YouTube and Apple TV. Like, eventually they're going to want these things. Right. I think what's probably most likely is that a company like Netflix or Apple or Google, I think it's Alphabet now, that one of them will just buy the damn network. And that way you can have both. Like, what's stopping Apple from buying Disney's programming or Amazon? What's stopping Bezos from buying Disney and owning ESPN and everything that comes with it? Then he doesn't have to create program. He doesn't have to buy. He doesn't have to pay for a staff. He doesn't have to build studios. They already exist. Just buy it. I mean, that's where I think all of this will end up.
This is a thing, and I'm here for it, and I'll have more on this in 3 things at the end of the show.
Oh baby. A big boy tease at a bake. We'll attempt to beat the house championship weekend style. Have a little bit more fun with Kiper's mock draft coming up at 11:20. Shelley time at 11:30. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
During this 10-second promo, Rothman will lose money gambling on something.
People like you come here and blow the family nest egg that built this town.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it. Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? So you're not alone. And even better, HIMS can help. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. It all starts with an online intake form. From there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Millions of men experience ED, but HIMS can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
I'm an old school Joe, and my philosophy is real simple and effective. It's not what you win or lose, it's what you save. And betting reduced juice at Prime Sports Ohio is the way to save money on every single bet. Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Use promo code JUSTSPORTS. Get a welcome bonus up to $100 and be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 or older and present in Ohio. If you or anyone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Giant Eagle is making it easy to surround yourself with the sound of freshness, the sound of sizzle, the sound of savings. With new low prices on hundreds of your favorite produce items, deals for days on over 1,000 items throughout the store, plus weekly sales and My Perks for even more savings at the pump. Surround yourself with savings every time you shop. At your neighborhood Giant Eagle. Visit gianteagle.com for details.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. Adam Fantilli's first career hat trick powered the Blue Jackets to a 5-1 win over the Maple Leafs last night in Toronto. The 20-year-old Fantilli scored in the first, second, and third period. CBJ picked up 2 points with the win. They currently sit in the first wildcard spot in the East. Jackets are in Carolina to take on the Hurricanes tonight at 7. You can hear that one on The Fan with coverage at 6:30. In college hoops, the 12th-ranked Ohio State women's squad hosts number 8 Maryland tonight at 6. You can hear that one over on ESPN Columbus. Maddie Andrews will have the call with coverage at 5:45. Ohio State 17-1 overall, 6-1 in Big Ten play. And the NFL MVP finalists were announced this morning. Saquon Barkley, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow is a finalist for Comeback Player of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year finalist. This update is sponsored by Dr. Mark Levy. If you're snoring and not sleeping, give Dr. Mark Levy a call at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com.
Bo knows many people. He talks to the interesting ones on this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, final hour here on a Thursday edition of the program. Before we attempt to beat the house, where is your excitement level 1 to 10 on these two championship games? Reese, where are you at?
It's like a 6.
Fake.
I'm a little higher. I'd say 7-ish. I think the Chiefs-Bills game is going to be great. And Jaden Daniels just continues to impress me, what he's done. I think it's going to be fun to watch him in this championship game against the Eagles.
Are you guys aware? I'm pretty sure I have this right. Kansas City is playing in their 7th straight AFC championship game. The record for consecutive championship games is New England. they played in 8 straight. Those 2 streaks actually crossed over, and they played each other in one. So for 15 years, 14 seasons, the Chiefs or the Patriots have been in the AFC Championship game. I mean, just think about so when you hear, like, my kids can't stand the Chiefs. I don't hate them. I like watching Mahomes play. So I don't love them. I mean, I'm not some bandwagon guy, but I don't hate him the way some do. Some really hate him. But you could understand how there'd be fatigue. And the Eagles have been in this spot a lot. You know, I think the reality is that there are 3 teams that were always better than everybody else in the AFC, in Buffalo, Baltimore, and Kansas City. And Kansas City got the 1, and the other 2 had to play. So I guess I'm probably like a 7 on this. I think the night game would be fun. I wish it was Buffalo and Baltimore just to have kind of some new flavor in the championship game. On the NFC side of things, there's an Eagles fatigue for me for sure, where we've seen them a lot. This run has been a lot. They've won a Super Bowl. The Washington part of it is first time since 91 for them, and Jaden Daniels is so fresh-faced. Is he ready to do this? To, like, be a rookie and go play in a Super Bowl? The line would lead you to believe that they wouldn't. But at the same time, the kid's been unbelievable, and they've been in a ton of close games all season long. So I'm with you. It's not a 9-10 for me. It doesn't feel like that, but it's going to be – it's obviously it's going to be on and be paying very close attention to it. But I'm not quite as excited as I have been in previous championship games. All right, with that said, let's try to beat the house.
Beat the house.
All right, boys. How did we even do last week?
I only kept track selfishly of my scores.
I think so. I think I split. I think I went 2-2. I think I got Kansas City. And I got Philly.
If you took the Eagles, we got it at -6, so that was a push.
Yeah, the Eagles were a push
which
game.
We will count on this show as a win.
Yeah, I definitely missed Washington, and I thought the Ravens would beat Baltimore, or beat Buffalo rather. So I think I went 2-2. How'd you do, Bake? Do you remember?
I think we were all 2-2.
Okay.
Well, I was 3-1.
Or you were 3-1. Well, I think you and I were 2-2.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Go ahead. We start at 3:00.
Yeah, and I think with the excitement level, it ramps up once you get Saturday into Sunday. But 3 p.m. at the Lincoln Financial Field, tickets for this to get in are like $500. And it's understandable because I think while you have that fatigue with the Eagles, I think it kind of has to be Philadelphia that Washington beats to get to the Super Bowl with Jaden Daniels, if that is to come to pass, as the Eagles, again, are 6-point home favorites.
It's a big number. It's a big number for me. I don't see that. I think Philly will win. It's just hard for me to wrap I wouldn't be surprised if Washington did either. That would not shock me. I think Washington will be in this game. I think it'll be a competitive game. I like Philly winning a close game, so I will take Washington and the points. We'll do the over-under in just a second.
I will take Washington and the points as well here. I think especially, with Nakobe Dean going out of that last game, I think Jaden Daniels, I think he relies on his legs a lot here in this game and keeps them in it. I think they win. I think Philly wins, but it's close, like a 3-point game.
I see it the exact same way. This is the Eagles winning the game, but this is a shootout, and you have Jaden Daniels covering with some. He's going to play. I don't expect him to have a drop-off in performance. Like, this feels like such a good football game, and Jaden Daniels, I think, will act accordingly.
His ability to always be just out of harm's way is really something to behold. It feels like there's people just grasping at the air like his jet stream. They can't ever get their hand on him, it feels like. He's so slippery. The over-under on this, according to our friends at ESPN Bet, is 47.5. I got the over. I think you're going to get points.
I got the over, too. I feel like this is a 34-31, 31-28 type of game, so I'm going over.
I think I've got the over for both of these games. They feel like shootouts.
Well, they're both 47.5.
And fun for us. So the AFC Championship, another prop bet that I thought of.
I got. Oh, go ahead, Reese. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I got Brian Robinson Jr. You can get him at plus 1,300 to have the first touchdown of the game. He had 2 for the Commanders last week. I think that's a pretty safe bet, or at least a value pick.
Yeah. There's one ESPN bet has a really cool same game parlay that I would like. It's 2+ passing touchdowns for Mahomes, under 69.5 yards for Kelsey, and 50+ rushing yards for Allen. That is a plus 550 on that one. The triple play they have is 250+ passing yards for Mahomes, 225+ for Allen, 70+ receiving yards for Kelsey. I do not like that one. But I do like the first one. I like the 2+ Mahomes, the under 69.5 Kelsey, and the 50+ rushing yards Allen. That one, I might throw a little on that.
All right, Baker, you got anything from the?
Which are we're doing Washington Philly bets here? Because I like
just any prop you like.
Okay, I like Barkley minus 225 to score a touchdown. I think there's no way he doesn't. I also like Jaden Daniels. It's minus 118 to get over 280.5 rushing passing yards combined in that one. And the other one, Josh Allen scores a touchdown to me for sure. And then Kelsey's going over 69.5. That's Mahomes' crutch in this one.
I think he's under, though. So you and I see that one a little bit differently. I like that, the one parlay they had. All right, go ahead.
Well, the Chiefs are 2-point favorites hosting the Buffalo Bills Sunday at 6:30 in their 7th consecutive AFC title tilt, Bo, that you just mentioned.
A year ago, around this time, it was last weekend, a year ago, I picked the Buffalo Bills to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional game and for the Bills to advance the AFC Championship game. That is the only time I've ever picked against Patrick Mahomes. And on the Monday show that followed that, I said, I will never pick against Patrick Mahomes in the postseason again. And I'm not going to start now. They just win. They just win. If it comes down to a drive, he'll supply the drive. If it comes down to a stop, Chris Jones will get a stop. If it's a 4th and 7 that they got to convert, they'll convert it. Butker will hit a field goal. Like, they're just the epitome of clutch. And there's fatigue. I get it. I'm fatigued. I do not want to see what I'm predicting. I have no interest in seeing Philly and Kansas City play for another Super Bowl. But that's what I think we're going to get. And I think the Chiefs will cover the 2. I got them winning by a field goal in a tight game. Give me the Chiefs. I'll throw the 2.
To beat a man! Woo! You got to beat the man!
Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are the man right now. And Josh Allen and the Bills have not proven they can beat them. In the last couple years, I've rode the Chiefs in the playoffs. It has worked out well for me. No reason to stop now. I think the Chiefs win a close one, but they cover the 2.
I said last week that it was the Buffalo Bills' time to advance to the AFC Championship game. Today, I will tell you, it is the Buffalo Bills' time to be eliminated from the playoffs by the Kansas City Chiefs. Give me that stupid football wizard and the 2 points here.
It was a great Ric Flair heel promo there on the turn.
It really was. The over-under on this is, 47.5?
Same.
47.5. You got it over, Reese?
Yeah, I see this as a shootout. I mean, 28 points scored by each of them with, oh no, you gave Mahomes too much time again.
Where are you at, Bake, on the over-under?
I'm under here. The Chiefs games in the playoffs for the past couple years seem to have been not that high scoring. I feel like 24-21 here, and that would put us under.
I see it the way you do. I'm with you. I think it's kind of a slugfest. I think points are at a premium. The weather it's not great weather, but it's not bad. 39 in Philly for that game, 31 in the game in Kansas City. I got it low scoring too. I got it Kansas City 20-17, 20-16, something like that. So I'll go under on that one. And we all went over on the other one?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So there you go. So if it plays out the way we see it, Chiefs-Eagles again in the Super Bowl.
Bo, real quick, to go back to a topic we hadn't thing or not a thing. Phil on the YouTube chat says, what about Pete Carroll for the Jaguars?
Yeah. He's older, though, right? I mean, he's in his 70s.
Yeah, he's 70.
Yeah. I think he wants to I think he would be great. I think, And then if you could get somebody who could be like the next man, they need just stability. That's what they need. They just need some stability. They have the talent. I mean, I just reject the notion that is not a loaded roster, and the idea that Trevor Lawrence can't be a franchise quarterback. It looks every bit of one to me. Speaking of franchise quarterbacks, in order to get one, you got to draft one. We learned that with the teams that are still alive in the postseason. Mel Kiper Jr. with his first mock of the season. We'll go over it, his thoughts on the quarterbacks, what he thinks the Browns will do it too. We'll get to that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We're the girthiest radio station in the history of radio. Uncomfortably girthy. This promo is uncomfortable. The Fan, Ohio's girth destination.
Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs. You bet we are. Hey, Timmy Hall here reminding you it's time to get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, make your pick. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TheFan971. That's code TheFan971 for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, Ohio only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after insurance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Bring the thrill of the stadium to your wallet with the Love My Crew checking account from Pathways, the only checking account that rewards you for being a Crew fan. Pathways Financial Credit Union, your true financial partner. Federally insured by NCUA.
Get your furnace fixed fast. Call Care Heating and Cooling, 1-800-COOLING.
Congratulations, you're having a little girl.
At that moment, everything changed. Our hopes and dreams for ourselves were instantly replaced by our hopes and dreams for her. We got life insurance policies from Shelter Insurance, so that regardless of what life throws at us, we'll still be able to provide the world to her.
Visit shelterinsurance.com to find an agent to help you pick a policy that's right for you. Shelter Life Insurance Company, Columbia, Missouri.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text PREP to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text PREP to 42424. That's PREP to 42424.
The Buckeyes are national champions. And you listen to it all right here on The Fan. And next year when they do it again, it'll be here on The Fan. And the year after that, well, you know the drill. Always and forever, your home of the Buckeyes. The Fan.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is fast for cash. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Hi, the Scott Antique Markets are back again at the Ohio Expo Center, featuring hundreds of vendors with collectibles and merchandise from all over the world. The market is one weekend monthly, November through March. Build your family heirlooms. You can find everything that gets old. Just take I-71 to exit 111 to enjoy America's favorite treasure hunt. Visit thescottantiquemarket.com for more information. Come join us at the Ohio Expo Center for the Scott Antique Markets. It's huge. It's the Scott Antique Markets this weekend.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Well, today will feel like a heat wave in comparison to how cold it was the last few days. Today's high temperature will be near 30 degrees. We are cloudy right now. Snow showers move in between about 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Tonight's low will be around 13 degrees. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
The Fan is live and local with Morning Juice, Caffeinate, and Dominate.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Connect with the show on X at 971BFS. Jump in our YouTube chat or just send a raven. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Played a little bit this of you in thing for you in Thing or Not a Thing. Mel Kiper on his first mock draft. It is mock draft season. We are caroming towards the combine and all of the stuff that follows with that. In his first one, he has Cam Ward going number 1 to the Titans. He has Travis Hunter, the Heisman winner, going to Cleveland at number 2. Shedeur Sanders going at number 3. If you're interested from the Bengals side of things, Jahad Campbell, the linebacker, Alabama at 17 to Cincinnati. Emeka Buka goes 21 to Pittsburgh. Josh Simmons goes 25 to the Texans. Here is Mel on why Cam Ward at number 1.
In terms of my rankings, Shedeur Sanders is my QB1, but for Cam Ward, the arm strength, better than Shedeur. Mobility, ability to move around, extend plays, throw on the move, better. And I think when you look at Cam Ward, he makes sense at the number 1 pick overall because of those talents in 3 different offenses. Remember, intern at Word, Washington State, and then this year at Miami. So he's adapted well to the personnel around him. He's had big years. He doesn't throw interceptions. He's got to be less reckless and careless with the football, but his accuracy, his arm strength, his mobility is the reason why he, I think, goes number 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans.
All right. I'll do the Cam Ward thing real quick, and then I want to hear him on Travis to the Browns. It's really important to remember, and I think this is important when you talk about quarterbacks in the draft. 1 year ago, Cam Ward put his name into the NFL and declared for the NFL draft. And the NFL's response was, yeah, no, we're good. And that's the only reason he's at Miami. That's it. He went to the highest bidder, but he was trying to go to the NFL last year after his season at Washington State. So what changed in a year that he went from undraftable or late round pick to number 1 overall? He played great at Miami. He did. But it's the same guy that it was a year ago, right? So you're undrafted, and now all of a sudden number 1 overall. This can tie this into a Shedeur Sanders conversation in a second. At number 2, Mel has the Browns going Travis Hunter. Here's Mel on that.
You're picking 2, but you get the best player in the draft in Travis Hunter, who can play on both sides of the ball early on, cornerback, wide receiver. They need wide receiver, a game breaker, a guy that's a fear factor player there as well. Remember, these quarterbacks are being forced up. The best players in this draft are Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, outside linebacker, Penn State, and Mason Graham, defensive tackle, Michigan. So they're all going to be overdrafted, even Cam Ward at 1. So for Cleveland, I could see the Raiders at 6 moving up to 2 to get Shedeur Sanders, and Cleveland moving back. But I'm not projecting trades until Mach 4.0 in April.
That's a hell of a tease.
I didn't expect that off the end. That's really great. I'm not projecting trades until Mach 4.0 in April. That's good. I think if it was between Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, I think they would take Abdul Carter. That's what I think they would do. I think there's a little bit of uneasiness with Hunter in terms of what's he going to be? My hunch would be that he would be a corner who plays 10 plays of offense and packages, but Mel does not feel that way. In fact, in his write-up on – this is what he wrote on ESPN.com in terms of his mock with Hunter. Know how I just said the Titans had the league's second worst QBR and interception total? Well, the Browns were the worst in both categories. Watson retore his right Achilles, Jameis Winston a free agent, so taking Sanders isn't out of the question. But I think Cleveland is more likely to address another hole here and find quarterback reinforcements in free agency and or later in the draft. Trading back for more picks with another QB-needy team could be part of this equation too. Plus, Hunter is just that good. I see elite quickness and ball skills on both sides of the ball, traits that help him to 15 touchdown catches and 4 interceptions. The Browns would likely use him primarily at receiver and then sprinkle him in at cornerback in specific situations. I think it would be the opposite. if they did. And I don't think, knowing that operation, I don't think they would sit at 2 and draft Travis Hunter. I don't. And that gets to what he wrote about the New York Giants, and this ties into the Cam Ward comments I had earlier. This is from Mel Kiper. This is the best case scenario for the Giants. Their Week 17 win over the Colts slid them to number 3, and now finding a new QB1 in the first round isn't guaranteed. But Daniel Jones is gone. Drew Lock is a free agent. So the Giants have to do something to clean up one of the worst passing games in the league. New York will be weighing all options, and it might be ultimately forced to trade up into the top 2 to get its guy. But here, Sanders falls into the Giants' lap without any extra moves. Sanders is super accurate, completing 74% of his throws. He could step in right away and lift the entire offense, including standout first-rounder Malik Neighbors. Time is running out for GM Joe Schoen and Coach Brian Daboll. They have to get this right. So if he believes all of those things, and he has Shedeur Sanders as his number 3 overall on his big board, if he believes all of those things, wouldn't all of those things apply to Cleveland? If he wrote he could step in right away and lift the entire offense, that's what the Browns need. That's exactly what they need. So if you believe those things, and even if you don't believe he's as good as Jaden Daniels or Drake May, if you believe these things that are written, why wouldn't the Browns just take him at 2?
When you hear that, it almost contradicts himself a little bit. Now, I know he said that he thinks that these quarterbacks are going to get overdrafted. They're not as rated as high as these other prospects. I think he had like Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and Mason Graham as the best players in this draft. So maybe it's a situation where you think the Browns are so bad they're just going to take the best player available. But yeah, it seems to kind of contradict his logic and reasoning there.
So I have his big board up. So this is just not mock. This is just best players. So Travis Hunter's best player. Abdul Carter, second best player. Mason Graham, Michigan, third best player. Shedeur Sanders is 4th. Cam is 5th. So it's not like you're forcing somebody who you have ranked 50th into the 2 spot. You have him as the 4th best talent in the whole operation. If you believe that about him, and this is Mel's just, when it comes to, remember guys, for the longest time, he wouldn't even do mock drafts. He hated it. He would just do big board. He was not interested in projecting what teams, because that wasn't his business. His business was in the scouting of it. But if you believe all those things that you wrote about Shedeur Sanders, I don't know how he's not picked number 2 overall.
Could it be for him, one, to create discussion when he releases Mock 2.0 in February,
Sure.
Mock 3.0, but as simple as the Giants have Malik Neighbors, and therefore that would be the best fit for a quarterback, and the Browns don't have anybody near that caliber, but you're forgetting Jerry Jeudy. I mean, I'm not trying to make the Jerry Jeudy Malik Neighbors comparison, but they both, I think, have wide receiver 1s. Or guys they view as wide receiver 1s.
Another thing I get a lot from Browns fans is like they don't want Shedeur because they don't want the circus. And they're worried about the embarrassment of like, well, we're not going to play there. They'll have all that stuff vetted. And I, for one, like, do you think Josh Allen at the time when he was drafted by Buffalo was like, I can't wait to go play in Buffalo? Who cares? Who cares? It's the NFL. Go play, go win. That's it. And their offense with Kevin Stefanski back at the top of it would actually be a pretty good fit for Shedeur. They'd have to make some accommodations. He's not under center as much as they would like. But if you go to Kiper's big board and what he has to say about Shedeur Sanders, and I think I keep coming back to that 74% completion rate. He writes, you won't find a tougher, more resilient quarterback prospect than Sanders, who took 99 sacks over the past 2 seasons, but still put up really strong numbers. I'm always impressed watching him throw on the move, rolling left to right, very accurate in those spots, and has the arm to drive the ball. When his mechanics and footworks are sound, he can pick apart a defense. While he's not necessarily a major rushing threat, he can keep the chains moving with his legs when there is an opening. I don't know.
When you just read that description, you know what that sounded like a lot to me? Sounded a lot like Baker Mayfield. And that didn't really work well with Kevin Stefanski. When it was going, it did.
It did. Here, this is what happened. I just, this can't be more, unfortunately, it just is this simple. Trust was lost between Baker and Kevin and vice versa. And when Odell's dad I mean, it's hard to believe that this was like the final straw. But when Odell's dad tweeted out that image of him just being missed on routes, that broke Bake. It just did. And he became even more hyper aware of what everyone was saying about him. And he's talked about all of this. He's talked about all of it. More hyper aware about what everyone was saying about him. He didn't trust really anybody anywhere, save for a couple of guys on the team. And he was incredibly paranoid, looked over his shoulder all the time. And there was no bringing him back whether Deshaun Watson was in the mix or not. They'd crossed the Rubicon. And for everybody who wants to rewrite the history of it, remember that the Carolina Panthers dropped both Darnold and Baker. They had them both. And they said, we're good. So they were broken quarterbacks who went to quarterback rehabilitation and got right. That's what it was. But when you think about what Bake was, and you're right, there are some parallels between what Bake was as a prospect and what Shedeur Sanders is as a prospect. Baker's season in 2020 in Cleveland, it's still as good a season as he had until really this year, and it's his number one QBR season. In 2020, in the COVID year, his completion percentage was low, 62.8 compared to 71.4 this year. But it's 3,500 yards. It's 26 touchdowns and 8 picks. It worked. They won a playoff game. They were within a stop on a Chad Henne scramble of playing in the AFC, of beating Kansas City.
Damn Chad Henne.
It was right there.
3rd and 14.
It's the next year that the wheels fall off, and that's the Beckham year. That's in 2021. And he played. He rushed an injury coming back from all of it. But as he split that 2022 season between Carolina and L.A., there was nothing there. I mean, remember, Tampa Bay got him for a bucket of balls. Anybody could have had him. Anybody. Right? So, I just think, I guess the main message I would say is like, draft quarterbacks until you land one. The 4 teams that are in the final right now, it's 3 first-round picks and 1 second. That's who's left standing. Go back to last weekend. It's all first-round picks and 1 second. You got to have one. If you don't have a dude, you got nothing. And that's the attitude, I think. If you're picking this high, if you do this right, you might not be picking this high again. This is why Atlanta took Penix. And you can question whether they should have signed Cousins or not, but this is why they took Penix. We don't know if we're going to pick this high again because of all the talent we have on the roster. Let's get a quarterback we believe in. Even if he has to sit a year, it's worth it. That's the job. Fun night last night in the hockey capital of the world as the Jackets got a win and Adam Fantilli had his first hat trick. A little bit of Shelley time coming up in 2 minutes to preview the game tonight against Carolina. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Congratulations, Ohio State, national champions. Get to Dick's for a huge selection of officially licensed Ohio State gear, including hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and more for men, women, and kids. New championship merchandise is arriving daily. Shop in-store or online at Dicks.com with free shipping on championship product. We have everything you need to show off your team pride. Every season starts at Dick's.
Championship weekend in the NFL is here, and you know we love throwing watch parties at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Let's parlay incredible food, huge screens, prizes, and football together for the ultimate bet this weekend, and you know it'll be a winner. Join me, Scotty Vegas, and Dave Biddle from On the Money for a watch party at Hollywood Casino starting at 3 on Sunday. Must be 21 or older to enter. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Parlay it, baby.
Let's get it started.
Lindsay Honda starts this year off by giving you cash for your clunker. Up to $2,500 or $3,500 minimum for any trade. It's Lindsay Honda's Cash for Clunkers. 2025 CRVs and Ridgelines, both $299 a month. That's $299 a month or clunker cash going on now.
The lot is full and the deals are on.
See lindsayhonda.com for program details.
Buckeye fans, on Thursday, January 23rd at 5 p.m., we want you to wear white as Ohio State women's basketball takes on number 8 Maryland at the Schottenstein Center. Celebrate International Night with themed entertainment, giveaways, and Buckeye pride. Wear white and bring energy for one of the biggest games of the year. Get your tickets now at ohiostatebuckeyes.com.
A system for every home and every budget at Logan AC and Heat Services. Get a free Train furnace with the purchase of an air conditioner and tax credits up to $2,600. Schedule your free estimate now. Logan Services.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
The gloves. It's Shelley time.
Indeed it is. We head out on the Brian Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Jackets at Carolina tonight after the big win last night in Toronto. I got to give you your flowers, buddy. You said this could be a bit of a trap game for the Leafs, and boy, what we saw in the first period was everything you'd want out of a hockey game, my friend.
Yeah, wasn't that entertaining?
It's awesome.
And, the Leafs like the way they played. All the Lakins had a night, and guys stepped up. Of course, Fantilli did too, Luca Del Bel Belluz. But, yeah, heavyweight fight. I talked to Olivier after that because when I was on the plane, I know what he was going through all day because he knows Ryan Reeves didn't have a fight yet this year, and the narrative was nobody wants to fight him because he's so tough. But Olivier was ready, and he was relieved once it was over. And it was so good for him that they did it first shift, and that sounds crazy, but it's like, okay, because you're kind of anxious about it the night before, all day long. So he was pretty fired up on the plane after.
How does that go? How did he know he was going to? Like, what's that conversation like? Who says, "Oh, we're gonna fight"? Like, how do you come to the conclusion, we're gonna fight?
Well, Reeves challenged them, so they both know they're very two of the toughest guys in the league. In the media in Toronto, it's been Ryan Reeves can't find a fight. No one will fight him, and he's a 38-year-old veteran. So, once the media has that and he admits it, well, then he's pretty much opened himself for business. And Olivier is sitting there as one of the tougher guys in the league who plays on a third line. And he's not sure if he's going to get matched up with him all night. And Craig Berube, the head coach of the Leafs, used to be a tough guy. So he sent Reeves out. He's like, here it is, buddy. You can't get a fight? There it is on the face-off. If you want it, go take it. And, it's just a lot of anxiety goes into that. And then, it's over. And those guys are happy. They just knew it was going to happen. The worst is when you're wondering if it's going to happen, because then you have to try to play hockey and wait for it to happen.
Yeah.
So they were both relieved they got it over.
It was a great fight too.
Really
good.
Heavyweight.
Yeah, it's really good. It's awesome. This one had it all.
Crazy.
I mean, in the first, you got Elvis with Matthews as well. I mean, this one had it all.
That was fun, wasn't it? Yeah, that was fun. And, I said to Elvis after, do you really want an Austin Matthews stick? Because we can get you one. And he laughed. And, he just said he's gotten away with that before. And, the refs weren't going to call that penalty right away on Elvis. But once Matthews picked up the stick, they were like, okay, what's going on here? Like, what just happened? But it was funny. And I saw Elvis talking to Matthews after the game. They were giggling about it. But, Elvis, you could tell right away he was on his toes and ready for battle. And I think it's a back-to-back. And I think him not knowing he was, or knowing he wasn't going to be playing tonight, I think he was very excited for that big stage in Toronto.
Some anxious moments yesterday on Shelley time because we had a live injury.
Yeah.
What ended up being, obviously he played and was great. Was it ever in doubt?
Well, he got a shot like in a weird area, and he felt like his leg went. It just didn't feel right. Okay. And so, he just wanted to feel right. And once he talked to the trainers and that, he settled down and went back to practice. So, yeah, but we did create some drama, didn't we, yesterday on Shelley Time?
Yeah, we did. We're breaking news, man. Live injuries.
It's drama in Canada, by the way.
Drama. That's right. That was my bad. Hey, Adam Fantilli, first career hat trick at that place. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good. And how about our crew with FanDuel, how they picked up the parents and, they got the emotions and they got the mom throwing the hat for the hat trick. And, I mean, he was on cloud nine last night, and he looked like that's, when you talk to people about Adam Fantilli, they've seen him play that way before. That's why he's such a high draft pick. But in the NHL, he's had to figure out kind of when to go, and you could see him now processing offensive zone plays, processing defensive zone timing, and explosive and big and powerful. And last night he used it perfectly. And a lot of times he would work himself out of position in the D zone, and then that puck wouldn't be there. But he's in sync with his teammates right now, and he's very confident with himself. So it's been an exciting evolution to watch him in the last 5 weeks. And remember last year, I said to you this, I think last week, it was this point of the season that he was starting to get going last year, and he got injured. And so now this kid has got, a third of the season left. And with Monahan out, he's been a huge factor for this team.
The Monahan injury and stepping up to that top line and being like, yeah, I got this, and be a point-a-game player, which is what he's been really since the turn of the new year. He's been a point-a-game player. So, yeah, this is everything. Yeah. I thought what Dean said post-game was really I hope fans understand it, because we've talked about that it's coming with him, and then he does get it in terms of the hat trick in Toronto, all that comes with that, Jode. But Dean was quick to say, that's happening because of what he's doing in the defensive zone. And he had to get that part first.
And Dean has had some great teaching moments with a lot of these young players, even some of the older ones, on approach to the game, or, there were moments where, he wasn't getting 3-on-3 time, in overtime. He wasn't getting out there. He didn't get the top power play unit or minutes that he wanted. He didn't get the top line. He was on the third line. He was playing wing. They kind of took him back a step. And they spent a lot of time with him watching videos of faceoffs, defensive zone play. And I've seen him talk to linesmen about why he's getting kicked out of faceoffs. So put it on him. He's been wanting to get better, and he wants to be the man. And right now he is.
Yeah, he's been awesome, and I just am so happy for him to have the moment like that in Toronto the way that he did. Obviously, this is a team now in the number one wild card spot. Bake actually brought this up earlier in the show. Who knows what they'll do at the trade deadline, but in a way, they kind of have their own. When you think about Jenner coming back and Monahan and all these guys who are going to start to populate this roster, it's a problem. It's a good problem, but who stops playing when all these guys start coming back?
That's a really good question. And, you go through the lineup and see guys who have been healthy scratch. You see guys now who have elevated into spots. You see kids and young players who are taking advantage of opportunities. I don't know. They're going to have to move some bodies, I think. And they'll get better assets for some of the assets they've given up, if any. Some guys are coming on waivers. They're in a very good position. And Don Waddell, the GM, with Dean Evison and their whole crew, they're getting to know what was given to them from Jarmo Kekalainen and John Davidson and their staff, and so their evaluations now, they see, and other teams see the value of what they have, and they're going to have, there's going to be players coming back that want to play higher in the lineup. There's going to be taking different roles, and it's just the fact that the team is winning, and other young players have grown into roles. So you said it. It's a great problem to have.
It's everything that Blue Jacket fans have always wanted, right? It's a bunch of young guys all coming at once. And it's awesome. It's everything we've always wanted.
And it's not about draft picks anymore. I think that's
thank God.
Thing. Do we need another draft pick? No. Let's see the players. They're starting to grow. And I think we're finally at this point of the organization, I think. And I think that it's we've waited not too long. I mean, it always feels longer than it is. But there's other teams that are still lost and waiting for some of those picks and players to rise, and I think they've done a really good job here.
It feels to me like that when the Panarin, PLD, Anderson, Seth Jones, all those guys we're all kind of young, and that the magic of that. This feels like it could have that, and then even more so because I think it's even more sustainable, Jode. At Carolina tonight. Carolina's second in the Metro. Obviously, you're back-to-back. Tarasov in net. Do I have that right? Any other changes? What do you expect
Tarasov
tonight?
Will play tonight. Yeah, he'll play tonight. I mean, Elvis was all in last night. He gets the day off. And we got in at 2:30, I think, last night. I don't think you get him locked in for tonight's game. So it's good for Daniil. I mean, he's got coming off a couple low-scoring games against him, good wins. I mean, last one was was a shutout but a loss, so that's an anomaly, right? Because it was a loss in a shootout. But he looks like a different player. He looks like he's got his swagger back. So he's in. I don't know of any other lineup changes. Sillinger, to me, I think he's still out. I think we're going to see a lot of what we saw last night, unless there's anyone banged up. But for the Blue Jackets now, you go in there last night and you think, oh, boy, this is going to be tough, right? And they went nose-to-nose and dominated that. I think they're going to feed off that coming into Carolina, which, again, on the schedule, you're like, oh, this is going to be tough. But Carolina's played 3 games in 4 nights. Mm-hmm. You know, they're a team that the expectations is on them to win. I think the Blue Jackets now have found that defensive stubbornness, patient game, and I think this sets up again to be another good one.
Yeah, this is a really fun stretch, and just the beginning. I think what all of us start to feel, and I'm certainly you feel like that too, a stretch of going to be a lot of exciting hockey here, not just the rest of this season, but in the years to come. Should mention, you guys, this game tonight available locally on CW Columbus as well. So,
yeah,
you got that one going as well
fun
tonight.
For us.
Yeah,
get in some more homes, and hopefully people tune in. We have a great feature tonight. I sat down with Kent Johnson at James Van Riemsdyk for the pregame show to kind of pick their brain on what they do on shifts when they're on the ice. Pretty interesting to hear them talk about what they see out there.
That juxtaposition, Jode, I'm so glad you did that, because that juxtaposition of Van Riemsdyk, who's seen it all in this league, and these young guys who are seeing it for the first time. He's been an incredible mentor. You were on that early. His presence has been invaluable.
I'm telling you. And this guy has more gear. It's incredible what he does in intermissions. He's got this scientific stuff. He holds things to cool himself down. He's just he's a student.
Yeah.
Quick note, if Fantilli's walking by me here, he's still smiling. I would be too if I had a hat trick.
In my hometown? Yeah. First NHL hat trick in my hometown. In that hometown? Yeah. This would be a long time for that smile to come off. Look forward to the broadcast, my friend. Thanks for your time.
All right. Have a great day. See you both. Thank you.
All right, there it is. A little bit of Shelley time. Jackets in Carolina tonight, looking to keep it rolling after a fun one last night in Toronto. 3 things on a Thursday up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We used to have a billboard with our host's face on it, but only ugly people work here now.
You mama say you ugly, hey!
The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today. You can find Active Liver at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
At Meijer, we work hard to bring more of the good life to your life, so you can bring home more perfectly plump and flavorful produce picked for precise freshness, beautifully marbled beyond brag-worthy certified Angus beef, and more must-have money-saving M-Perks rewards. Because saving more on local favorites is good, but bringing home more of what you love in every trip, that's the good life. We do more to make life a good deal better at Meijer.
Through the magic of modern technology, I'm coming to you from inside your garbage disposal.
Hey, what are you doing down here?
I was telling folks about Who are you?
Garbage disposal monster. I eat the things people put in here. Nom 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 nom.
Oh?
Sometimes I get sick.
I was just about to say, the pros who knows from Apex are brilliant at fixing garbage disposals. You're really a monster?
Ah, look here. These teeth?
Yeah?
They're all busted.
Oh.
They're for food, not forks. You hear up there?
Gee, what else?
Crazy noises like clingety, 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 clingety. Call Apex Pros.
Sure.
Sometimes I smell funny.
I didn't want to draw attention to it.
Call Apex Pros.
And what's going on now there?
Smoking. It's a bad habit. We're not supposed to smoke.
Well, you heard it straight from the garbage disposal monster. Call the pros who knows. Apex Pros.
Hi, it's Alex, the Apex Bear. We are the pros who knows, the official plumber of the Columbus Blue Jackets. ApexPros.com.
Nom 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 nom.
At Planet Fitness, we're declaring it. This is the year of getting stronger. And future stronger you can get started now by saving $28 or more when you join today. You in? We have all the best in-class equipment you could ever need to keep stepping it up. And you can work out your way on your time at any convenient location near you. Most open 24 hours. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more. Just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends January 31st. See Home Club for details.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text PREP to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text PREP to 42424. That's PREP to 42424.
We have a lot of football happening. I'm here to help. Set your radio preset to the Fan. Very good. Now set the second one to ESPN Columbus. It's the HD2 button. Lastly, go to the Fan's HD3 and save the Fan 3. Crisis averted. You're welcome.
I wish I'd gotten treated for my erectile dysfunction sooner. Men, I hear this all the time from our patients. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, and if ED is a problem in your life, resolve to get it treated today and stop having it affect you and the one you love. ED is simply a medical condition, and it's fully treatable. And at Tri-State Men's Health, we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases, which means if you're like most guys, your ED will be a thing of the past. In fact, you could be having great sex within a day or two of your first appointment, and you'll likely find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. It's the new year. Resolve to get your ED treated and change your life. Call us at Tri-State Men's Health. Your initial visit is only $99. It includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. That's tristatemenshealth.com. Tri-State Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
It's almost Football Friday. All play and no work.
Sponsored by Tansky Sawmill Toyota.
Your home for football, the Fan. First Friday miracles are always better with Uncle Bo. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, Reese, what are we on the poll today?
The Daily Fan Poll asks, what'll be the Super Bowl matchup? Bills-Eagles, Bills-Commanders, Chiefs-Eagles, Chiefs-Commanders are your options. 36% of you think it's going to be Bills-Eagles. 27% say Chiefs-Eagles, 26% say Bills-Commanders, and 10% say it'll be Chiefs-Commanders in Super Bowl 59.
There you go. And we did one, too, as well. We had the great email about which would you prefer.
Yeah, in the next 5 years, would you rather Ohio State go 4-1 against that team up north with 0 college football playoff titles, or 2-3 versus that team up north with a college football playoff title? 82% say they'd rather option B. That's 2-3 against Michigan in a 5-year span with 1 CFP championship versus the 4-1 record, but no championships.
I wonder if you made it 4-1, 1-4, how much. I wonder what the threshold would be like. Yeah, I can't deal with that. Is that all 5? But you get a natty?
Much less if it's 1-4 comparative to 2-3.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of in that right now, right? You're 0-4 the last 4, but you got that national championship.
That's true. Yeah, you are. You are in the middle of that right now. And that national championship going to be celebrated on Sunday around noon at the Shoe. So that'll be very, very cool. You can listen to that right here at the Fan starting at 11:45. So you have that to look forward to, which is very, very nice. Time for 3 things on a Thursday.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3 things.
Sponsored by Custom Air. Custom Air. Custom Solutions. Custom Comfort.
All right, number 1 for me. I'm just stupefied by this, and yet maybe I shouldn't be. The Dallas Cowboys are going to name Brian Schottenheimer the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. This is essentially Jerry Jones naming himself the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He is also the general manager of the Dallas Cowboys. And so he was great on Landman. So he's got that going for him, which is nice. But everything else, I don't understand what the objective is here. And the other thing you got to remember with a guy like Jerry Jones, and we saw this with Jason Garrett, who, by the way, didn't get a sniff for another head coaching job despite all of his time in Dallas. He was a coordinator with the Giants. Jerry's not going to fire him either, because then that's Jerry admitting he's wrong. And guys like Jerry Jones don't want to admit they're wrong. So, it's very likely that Brian Schottenheimer will be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys through the rest of Dak Prescott's career. That's very much in play. It's wild.
It's just another, it'll be another cycle of coaches giving less entertaining press availabilities than the owner, who continues to be the star of that circus. Phil had suggested earlier that maybe Pete Carroll be the potential fixer down in Jacksonville. Tim Kawakami of the San Francisco Standard says Pete's one of the front runners for the Niners defensive coordinator job. He's 73, Bill Belichick's 72. The Athletic is saying that the Raiders, now that Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are off the table, the Raiders think Pete Carroll is their top option.
Is there a connection with Brady and Carroll, other than Carroll calling a pass at the goal line?
Giving Tom Brady a Super Bowl?
One of his 7 Super Bowls.
That helps, probably.
Yeah.
Guys, my first thing, we talked about Netflix a little earlier, and as if someone had a device where they could get pretty much any TV they wanted, they really wouldn't have never needed Netflix. So I'm kind of new to this Netflix world with their live football games and the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson stuff, and then WWE Raw being on Netflix since the beginning of the year. I thought I got a new TV and didn't remember it because, man, I don't know what they're broadcasting in, if it's 4K or whatever, but the Netflix makes my TV look way better than I thought it was. So I'm all for Netflix taking whatever they want.
How are they doing with Raw?
It seems to be pretty good. And I'll tell you what, it looks like they're right in my living room. It's so clear.
That's interesting. I'm going to have to check that out to see if they're doing something that I haven't watched it yet. I've been told that they came out swinging with Raw on Netflix. So I'll have to check that out. Maybe next Monday, check it out. Number 2 for me, started the show with this. Bootsy attempting to Ferris Bueller me last night and into this morning. I put it at a 52% chance he'd be home by noon. It's approaching noon. He's not home. So maybe his teacher found out and she sniffed it out too. It's all fallen on deaf ears for little Bootsy. I love the game. I respect the effort. I love the hustle to try to get out of it. I think it's a little bit greedy coming off of being off 2 days because of snow and the holiday. I mean, you basically got a 2-day week. How hard can this be? Save your fake sickness for sometime in February when you really need it, would be my advice to him. But to my shock, he's still there.
Big win for Bo today.
I think so.
My second thing is example 3,252. The NBA is just not what it used to be. Shams Charania is reporting that Joel Embiid and the 76ers are expected to sit down at some point and have a conversation about his health. Charania adds there have been some frustrations within the organization about Embiid's lack of availability this season. He'll be 31 in March.
I got to be honest with you. Between this, the Jimmy Butler nonsense in Miami, I don't know what's happening. I just find the NBA this season, other than I think the Cavaliers are a really fun watch. They blew it last night, but I think they're a really fun watch. But other than that, I just, it's not resonating with me at all this year. And I think that's weird because, like, the Cavs are good and the Cavs are fun and they're contenders, but I have not been really interested in anything in the association this year.
I gave up on the NBA when the Charlotte Hornets left the first time.
They're back. So
That's an interesting reason to give up. Big Hornets guy, were you big?
They were my team. I loved Grandmama and Zoe and Muggsy Bogues.
Yeah.
Kelly Tripucka.
Come on now.
A
lot of dudes. Beautiful uniforms.
A great starter jacket, too.
It was, yeah.
Guys, my second thing, speaking of starter jackets, I've never been a guy that claimed to be very stylistic. I live most of my life in shorts and a t-shirt or shorts and a hoodie or some kind of pullover. My favorite outfit is shorts and what I call a waffle. It's basically a light long sleeve thermal type thing.
Okay.
And so I've never been a guy to think I'm very fashionable. But I look up on the TV every day and I see Cam Newton, and if that's fashionable, I'm glad I'm not fashionable. I don't know who thinks that looks good or who tells him that looks good. And guess what? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But he looks ridiculous.
You're not wrong. He's been doing that for a while with the hats and all of that stuff. I don't know. It's pretty wild, to say the least. Finally, number 3 for me. Boy, The cast came off for NBC, broke the wrist in December. The cast came off this week. He is right back into action playing 7th grade basketball tonight. He was a little nervy, got some shots up the last couple of days. I'm very curious to see what this looks like. I'm a little nervous for him a little bit too, and I could sense it in him when I dropped him off at school today, that a little bit of apprehension, but hopefully it goes well for young NBC tonight in his return to play.
Ohio State's going to have that championship celebration noon Sunday at the Shoe. We'll have that for you on The Fan starting at 11:45. On The Fan also this weekend, Buckeye replay at 3 o'clock. Ohio State Notre Dame from this past Monday. If you're so interested to hear such gems again, like
3rd and 11, Buckeyes at their own 34. Out of the huddle, Tate will go wide left. Smith and Ibuka wide right. Bennett Christian is in the backfield along with Travion Henderson surrounding quarterback Will Howard. Notre Dame's defense shifts again. Howard out of the shotgun, back to pass at his own 25. He'll gun that deep down the right side, and it is caught by Jeremiah Smith at the 30 of Notre Dame. He's taken to the Fighting Irish 10-yard line.
Feels good to say Ohio State 2024 national champions.
Sure does.
Gosh, there's nothing better than Big Daddy on a Saturday afternoon, that's for sure. My final thing, guys, Rothman and Ice coming up today, so make sure you don't go anywhere for that. Gold Jacket Thursdays took a little break around the holidays, but they are back in full force today. One of the nastiest dudes ever on the football field, Mike Singletary, joins the boys.
Whoa! Oh, that's great.
Good
That's
get by CB.
Listen. That's very cool. Very, very cool to do that. You have that to look forward to, which is nice. We're back tomorrow. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Here's a listener tweet. Can I tase Common Man in the nuts? Fine by us, but he may like it. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
The Fan. This is a Fan Action Update.
This Action Update is sponsored by Logan Services, a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. The AFC Championship game has the Chiefs as a 2-point favorite over the Bills. The Chiefs are minus 130 on the money line. The Bills are plus 110. Patrick Mahomes is 7-0 in the playoffs straight up and against the spread when either an underdog or favored by less than a field goal. For your Logan Services Action Update, I'm Scotty Vegas.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection, one that helps better their everyday through the things they value most: friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Let's get it started.
Lindsay Honda starts this year off by giving you cash for your clunker. Up to $2,500 or $3,500 minimum for any trade. It's Lindsay Honda's Cash for Clunkers. 2025 CRVs and Ridgelines, both $299 a month. That's $299 a month or clunker cash going on now.
The lot is full and the deals are on.
See lindsayhonda.com for program details.
Hey, Ohio, Prime Sports has arrived. The only book where you can lay 108 instead of 110 on all your favorite teams. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, you name it. Why would you risk more to win the same amount at another sports book? Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Use promo code JUSTSPORTS. Get a welcome bonus up to $100. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 or older and present in Ohio. If you or anyone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The county just requested more electric charging stations.
Orders have really amped up at Able Electric.
We need 3 more at First in Maine, and we just got another hotel chain.
It's no shock. Able Electric needs able electricians.
Grocery store wants charging stations too.
And fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.